What's up, Cattywampus? What's up, guys? It's Sunday, right? So kick only. We'll be on the other platforms for just a little bit, but we're gonna be on kick. Hey, good to see you, but girl. Not on YouTube as much. You don't see you as much. Hope you're doing well. Hope your husband's doing all right too. I haven't heard about that in a while.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house.
Please share the kick link. I don't think we've ever asked you guys to do that, but
Never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the
share the kick link on whatever platform you're on. That'd be great.
way we feel.
I just finished sharing mine on Facebook, I guess.
We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To play, hate is pain.
It's supposed to be Jesus movie night, but I don't think we're doing it this week. I got some other stuff to talk about.
Wake
Got kind of a late start, but I do have not only a Jesus movie, but another movie we can watch probably next week, next Sunday. It seems like it's really good.
and we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race.
What's up, Twash? What's up, Todd? Oh, let's kill that music. Hold on. We're getting past the intro music, huh? I started the timer a little bit late because I was checking something. But yeah, that should be good. Timer run out in just a second. Kick only tonight. We'll be on the other platforms for just a few minutes. But if you want to see the full show, come to kick.com/coldbeerconfessional. I'll tell you before I cut the other platforms loose. Because I already saw some people commenting over like on YouTube and other places. Let's do this. I should have done this while the timer was running out, but I didn't. So give me just a second. It seems like shit's getting crazy over in Israel, but man, it's rough. It's hard to even talk about. We'll talk about it a little bit here just because it's in the news. Let me roll the intro.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Will Bird. That was Linda Binda. I'm actually Googling or searching for her channel right now because I think her interview thing come out, right? Yeah, it's 48 minutes. We might watch that in a little bit. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Will Bird. This is Cold Beer Confessional. Kick only because it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're over on kick.com/Cold Beer Confessional on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you want to join us there, greatly appreciate it. You get to see the full show there rather than waiting on the replay to be on YouTube tomorrow. If you're on one of the other platforms, I'll let you know before I cut those platforms loose. If you're on Facebook, Rumble, is Rumble working? Let me check. If you're on Facebook or Rumble or YouTube watching, if you're yes, Rumble's working. If you're on one of those platforms, I'll let you know before I cut it loose. But you can come see the full show right now over on kick.com/Cold Beer Confessional. Husband is doing fine. Daughter home from college for long. Awesome. Sounds great, bug girl. I'm glad. What's up, Nurse Julie? So a couple things we're going to go over tonight and talk about. We talked about last night. I guess I'm being reported to the Teachers Union of Northeastern Pennsylvania, I suppose. I don't know. We've got an update on that. I've got someone to give a shout out to and a thanks to. Couldn't have done it without them. A couple more things. You know, we got a funny video, some silly stuff. We might talk a little bit about the Israel, Palestine, Hamas scenario and what's going on. And other than that, let's get started. If you wanted to contribute to the show, you want to help us out, you can do that at coldbeer.fund, coldbeer.fund. That's this website behind me. You can go there and all my links are listed at the very top in case you need to find me somewhere. I've got Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, Facebook, TikTok, Rumble, Discord, and Bovada. Bovada is an affiliate link. I think I have to reveal that. There's also 4 square boxes over here that you can use to contribute to the show. There's Buy Me a Coffee. That's a text-based, so send any type of text message in. I'll read it on the air. You can join our Patreon for extra content through the week. The Gun and Bomber is the old donation animation. You can check that out if you want to. And Dono Clip is our brand new one. You can do audio or video messages, something like this. I'm sure there's one. Here's a video message. This is how Dono Clip works. For $2, I think is the minimum donation. You can send in a video or something. Here's Mort.
Hey, Will, I just have to say, my mother would have never allowed us to use that word. That word is it's an abomination. Cunt.
More on the topic of the word cunt. But yeah, you guys can use Dono Clip and send in an audio or video message. Or if you're not comfortable doing audio or video, just go to Buy Me a Coffee and you can type in anything you want and I'll read it on air. If you're not comfortable with either one of those, don't want to interrupt the show, there's one last button down here at the bottom that's just a yellow button that says donate. If you click that, it just opens up PayPal. I'll know that you donated because it'll send me an email, but it won't interrupt the show. Your name won't pop up. You don't have to type out a message to everybody or have your name up there. A lot of people use that, and I think those people just generally, I usually don't give out their name or anything, just say thank you for the donation that came through PayPal. Other than that, I think that's it. That's how you support the show. That's how you keep it going for free. If it's something you enjoy, if it's something you hate, then don't fucking watch it. I don't know what to tell you, I guess. Either way, thank you guys for joining us. Let's see what we got. I got at least one TikTok video I want to share. I know a lot of people aren't on TikTok that follow me because China. But I did find this one, and it reminded me of some of y'all's grandmas, okay? And I thought, yeah, they probably need this. If it's been a while since you spoke to your grandma, you need a little heartwarming grandma moment. Here's one for you right here.
What you need $18 for?
To get the power back on.
That's all you need? Mm-hmm. You sure that's what you need $18 to cut your power back on now? Mm-hmm. Be honest.
Just needs $18 to get the power cut back on, right?
Be honest.
You gonna say no if I
No,
tell you?
no, I'm not.
Uh-oh.
What you want?
You're going to say no? So now maybe it's not the power bill? I was convinced it was the power bill.
Want it for really?
That hard stuff?
That hard stuff.
Oh, shit. That hard stuff. I think that means crack on the street. That hard stuff, that's crack.
You don't need to, though.
I love it.
Woman,
He loves
that
it.
stuff. You don't need to go buy nothing but something to eat, okay?
Okay.
All right? That's $20. Don't
He handed her 2 tens, so that's $20.
go buy no crack. That,
What the fuck was that? What? Hold on.
$20. Don't go buy no crack. That,
Now we know she's the toothless special.
you have a good day, okay?
It makes me feel so fucking fantastic and so horny.
Okay, you have a good day.
And so horny. Uh-oh. That's where the tongue punching came from. That's where now we see Granny tongue punch.
$20. Don't go buy no crack. That, yeah.
By the way, Legend says I feel sexually harassed by grandma. Now, I was at the campground today, and the young lady who works in the office sometimes, she just went way too far, man. I had to file a sexual harassment complaint against her. I think her name's Ramira or something like that. I had to file a sexual harassment complaint against. She's basically undressing me with her eyes. Every time I saw her, it was just like, man, she's just full of smut.
$20. Don't go buy no crack. That,
I wish that was my
you have a good
ringtone.
day, okay?
I wish the sound of her tongue flopping in and out of her mouth was just my ringtone.
Makes me feel so fucking fantastic and so horny.
Okay, you have a
So horny.
It makes me want a thing in my mouth.
No, don't. You have
Oh, God, Granny! Makes me want that thing in my mouth. Makes me want that thing in my mouth. There she is. So that the same woman that sexually harassed me from the office is now in the chat under Mer Bird. I see her there.
a good day,
Put
okay?
it in my mouth.
No.
Like put it in my mouth. She's gonna start a freestyle. Like put it in my mouth. This crack too loud. Oh.
Buy no crack. That, you have a good day, okay?
It makes me feel so fucking fantastic and so horny.
Okay, you have a good day.
Makes me want a thing in my mouth.
No, don't.
I
You
be
have
like,
a good day.
put it in my mouth.
No.
Mouth.
I told you it's a freestyle. Put it in my mouth. My motherfucking mouth.
Bye.
Hey, can I use your phone?
No, I'm about to go. I'm late behind. I'm behind on my light bill too. $17.
So she said she needed $18 for her. God damn that mouth. Show me what that mouth do, Granny. Anyways, she needed $18 for her light bill. So when she asked him on the phone, he's like, I'm behind on mine, $17. We'll watch it one more time, and I won't pause it to interrupt it. And then we're going to cut loose Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. YouTube will go private, so the replay will be up tomorrow. But come join us on Kick, kick.com/coldbeerconfessional. There's already like 150 people over there. Come join the rest of us.
What you need $18 for?
To get the power back on.
That's all you need. Mm-hmm. You sure that's what you need $18 to cut your power back on now? Mm-hmm. Be honest. Be honest.
You gonna say no if I
No,
tell you?
no, I'm not. What you want it for, really?
That hard stuff.
That hard stuff. You don't need to, though.
I love it.
Woman, you don't need that stuff. You don't need to go buy nothing but something to eat, okay?
Okay.
All right? That's $20. Don't go buy no crap. You have a good day, okay?
It makes me feel so fucking fantastic. And
Do it,
so
sunshine. Do
Yeah,
it.
you have a good day.
It makes me want a thing in my mouth.
No, don't.
I
You
be
have
like,
a good day, okay?
put it in my mouth.
No.
Mouth.
Bye.
Hey, can I use your phone?
No, I'm about to go. I'm late behind. I'm behind on my light bill too. $17.
Damn. Do it, sunshine. Even though your mom's not a crackhead, you guys could go viral and probably fucking make some money off views and shit. Just acting like a crackhead. Fuck. I need to come up with a new character. That's not just me being mean to people. That's my normal character. All right, guys. We've got an award to present. I'm very, very, very thankful for one of the haters. And I really want to show my gratitude for that. So I'm going to do a little segment on that. But before, I'm going to cut loose the other platform. So if you're watching anywhere other than kick.com, you're about to lose the stream. I'm turning off Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. So get over to kick.com/coldbeerconfessional. Kick.com/coldbeerconfessional. I'm sure the mods will drop the link. I'm about to pin. Let me pin Dr. J over here. And then unable to pin something. Oh, let me refresh, then I'll pin it. Pin some of these messages because we're going to be on kick.com/coldbeerconfessional. That's the only way you're going to be able to see the full stream tonight and live. But if you don't do Kick, that's cool. Just wait till manually unpinned end of stream. There we go. So that's cool. Just wait till tomorrow and you can watch the replay on YouTube. It just won't be live. I'll try to get it up by like 11 or 12 by like lunchtime, and you can watch it there. Everybody else, come join us on kick.com if you want to see the live stream. Let's see. I'm cutting loose. Here's Facebook. Bye, Facebook. Everybody say bye, Facebook. I hate to cut Facebook.
_Atsako just resubscribed for 17 months.
Oh, thank you. She resubscribed on Twitch. Thank you for that. I still get the alerts because I'm still connected, but thank you. I hate to cut loose Facebook because that's where all the good crazies come from. But I got to. Bye, Facebook. Love you. Next is Rumble. We usually have a decent viewership on Rumble when I'm on just Twitch and Rumble. But you got to come to Kick tonight. And there's one more. That would be Twitch. Guys, if you're one of the 6 people watching on Twitch, come join us on Kick. It's pinned at the top of the chat. Kick.com/coldbeerconfessional. Click the link. And then YouTube is going private. That way there'll still be a copy there for tomorrow. So let me change that. If you're watching on YouTube, come join us. I would greatly appreciate it. And we'll see everybody on the next one. Or the replay tomorrow at lunchtime. What is today? So it'll be Monday at lunchtime. Today's Sunday. Save as private. Boom. All right, that should have kicked everybody there. Guys, I am actually grateful for one of my haters. They say, you know, keep trying until you got haters, right? If you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. So a bunch of shit like that, right? Love to your haters. They're your biggest fans. I've got all kinds of hater quotes. You just wait. We got a bunch of them. My haters are my motivators. That's right. My haters are my motivators. And one of the biggest haters, suddenly one of the biggest haters. She wasn't always one of the haters. It was sudden. After we did the Tim Ballet segment, okay? After we did the Tim Ballet segment, they became a giant. I can't believe Will's coming. Oh, now Tim Ballard's a grifter. Well, yeah. And if you haven't realized that by now that his own church, like I can understand if you look at Vice News and you're like, oh, Vice News, same thing you do with every news organization. I don't trust them. They're mainstream media. They're the deep state. They're cabal control, whatever. His church kicked him out. You think his church is just believe Vice News because they're big Vice News fans? Or do you think Vice News showed them some evidence and were like, hey, the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon church, very, very, very rarely makes a public statement about any, like it has to be a big thing, and they want to distance themselves from whoever it is. Like they usually just say no comment. We have no comment. We don't do that. That's no part of us. But they explicitly came out and disowned Tim Ballet. Why did they disown Tim Ballet? Obviously, they saw some evidence that's about to come to light. Timoteo got told to fuck right off by the church. That's exactly right. Even M. Russell Ballard was like, I don't know that guy. He shouldn't be using my name. And Tim Ballet's like, well, we're best friends. He's like my grandfather figure. They got some evidence on this man. That's the only reason the church would have made that statement. If they didn't have evidence, they would have just told Vice News to fuck off, right? Or they would have said, we don't make public, we're not prepared to make a public statement. It's very rare they come out and be like, oh, well, we're disowning. Let's read the statement. Hold on. Now we're talking about one of my favorite haters, Mormon Church statement on Tim Ballet. Salt Lake Tribune. The YouTube video opens. Can I close this? Don't make me do this shit. Retarded shit. They want me to sign up for everything. Give me just a second. Let me kill this paywall. Maybe. Oh God. Okay, that's signed in now. Now start Bardeen. Bardeen is the program I use to bypass the paywalls, but it's acting retarded tonight. I'm just gonna have to get it from a different source. Now it's showing that it's frozen. What are you doing, Bardeen? Oh, there we go. Remove paywall. It bypasses and finds an Internet Archive version of it, and that's the way it does it. Or if there isn't an Internet Archive version available, sometimes it'll even make one. Church statement: misconduct allegations throw Tim Ballard's LDS backers for a loop. They struggle over whom to support, the OUR founder or their faith leaders. The YouTube video opens on a smiling mother-daughter duo, a cozy faux farmhouse kitchen serving as the backdrop. The two look as though they're about to launch into a discussion of how to foster healthy relationships between parents and children, or maybe a walkthrough on mastering the art of Texas sheet cake. But the parenting advice and begging tips will have to wait. The mother, who introduced herself as Kathleen, and her daughter, called Jane, are on a mission of no less importance than cleansing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints of leadership they accuse of being not just corrupt, but evil, and we mean evil. So this is obviously setting this up. These are some of his supporters that are going against the church. Kathleen and Jane, who do not share their last names and did not respond to requests for comment, explained that they have suspected for some time that there was rot in Salt Lake City. But it wasn't until a senior apostle publicly disavowed Tim Ballard founder of the anti-trafficking organization Operation Underground Railroad, that they decided it was time to act. And the two videos that together have grossed almost 20,000 views. The women surmise that because the church has not been vocal about sex trafficking, they must be guilty of it. These women are among the many Latter-day Saint supporters of Ballard who have found their loyalties in the conflict and aftermath of face rare and pointed rebuke. The face, rare and pointed rebuke. This wrestle playing across social media reveals a community grappling with a crisis of faith, some in Ballard and some in church leaders. So again, they're trying their best to make excuse. Do you want to be the people that are making excuses now? The whole fucking church, his own church is corrupt and turned against him. They've teamed up with Vice News, or do you think there's probably evidence of misconduct? Tim Ballard, the former head of the anti-trafficking organization Operation Underground Railroad. Also, why did he leave OUR? He was forced to resign from OUR. If he's this cool, amazing fucking lifesaver, why did he leave OUR? Why was he forced to resign from OUR from allegations of misconduct? That's weird. Seems like if he was in the right and all these women were just making shit up and they weren't. So what he said on Adam Carolla's podcast is he's talked to all the women who ever played his wife. None of them are complaining. So this must be women that have no ends, no ties to his company or the church. They must just be random women who just made this up. He's talked to all the women who played his wife, so this can't possibly be going on. But he still had to leave his company? Has been condemned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for morally unacceptable, quote, morally unacceptable behavior by saying M. Russell Ballard, the acting president of the Faith Quorum of the 12 Apostles, was a central figure in support of OUR and Tim's private business efforts. The strongly worded public rebuke, rare for the church, came as Tim Ballard is said to be prepping a run for Utah's soon-to-be open U.S. Senate seat next year. Vice first reported Tim Ballard, who is not related to the 94-year-old church leader, said the two were close associates and even partners in for-profit business ventures that would help him monetize the celebrity status he had gained through his exploits rescuing human trafficking victims. Critics say his rescue missions are often highly fictionalized or even fully exaggerated. Those details come from hundreds of documents about a new closed criminal investigation into OUR conduct by the Davis County Attorney's Office and the FBI. Very interesting. The FBI closed it once, and he's really, really good friends with the Attorney General in Utah. County Attorney Troy Rawlings did not respond to a request for a comment on Friday. A statement from the Utah-based Faith, which the Salt Lake Tribune confirmed, said the senior church apostle and Tim Ballard, who is a Latter-day Saint, became friends several years ago but have not been in contact for several months. Quote, once it became clear Tim Ballard had betrayed their friendship through the unauthorized use of President Ballard's name for Tim Ballard's personal advantage and activity regarded as morally unacceptable, President Ballard withdrew his association, according to the statement. President Ballard never authorized his name or the name of the church to be used for Tim's personal or financial interest. They had to show something damning, guys. They had to show something damning. For the church didn't have to make a. They could have just said no comment. They could have ignored the email from Vice News, but they saw something so damning they wanted to separate themselves before it came out. I want to see this. The whole reason we did this is because someone left me because I called Tim Ballard a scammer. Thank you. L. Barker 4 bought you a 6-pack. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. I want to see this, the YouTube video. Here it is.
And the scriptures call them the sons of wickedness. Well, what were they up to? Well,
it says LDS we'll get over to the thanks of the person who left over Tim Ballet. But this says LDS leadership is corrupt, says member.
welcome to our podcast. This is our first video. Our title is The Sons of Eli Among Us. I'm Kathleen, and this is my daughter, Jane. I'm Jane. This is September 2023. We've been meeting to do
I wonder if even these women can channel Nephi.
these podcasts for some time. The reason we're doing it now is that we just watched online where Mr. Tim Ballard, a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, such as we also are members, is being criticized by the church.
Here's something that I think is bullshit. They just said we've been planning on doing these for a long time, but the reason we're doing it now is because Tim Ballard got bullshit. if this was laid on your heart and you really believe that the church leadership was corrupt or had something to do with child trafficking or was rotten and needed to be fixed, if this is basically your whole life is your faith, as a lot of serious LDS members are and Mormons are, this wouldn't be you would have already done it if you were thinking about it before.
For whatever supposed bad behavior. We have felt that there's a need for people like us who are faithful members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who have been suspecting for a very long time now that most, or all of the leadership of this church is corrupt, and not just corrupt, but evil. And we mean evil. As far as Mr. Ballard goes, Tim Ballard
probably
is
bug
working
dude.
with saving children who are being trafficked.
He's still got the Trump endorsement and Trump shaking hands, still got his wife with him, still got the movie and the movie money, the money that the movie's bringing in. I'm sure he's paid a very high royalty for, his part of it. It's all based on him. He could start his own church. I just found out the other day, actually, you guys know Tony. Tony was telling me about it, that there's the Church of Scientology, and then there's people called independent Scientologist. I had no idea that was even a thing. Independent Scientologist. It's like the independent church of Scientology. So people break away from Scientology for all these reasons that Scientology is bad, right? We've heard most of these reasons. So they break away for those reasons, but then they still believe in or something to do with Scientology, so they start these independent churches, which I had no idea was even a thing that existed. I had no idea that independent Scientology was even a thing, but apparently it is. So Tim Ballard could almost do something like that. Independent Latter-day Saint movement, I suppose.
The thing that made us alarmed was that he said once that wherever there's a natural disaster or a war, of course you have all these kids and other people whose families are dead and they're just there right for the picking. And these criminals show up in their vans and they just snatch these kids, and probably they promise them food or they just grab them, and women. And we thought, our church is always there. That's what we do. How can they not know about this? Why aren't we doing anything about it? And we determined they must know. We must be involved in it. We must be. And since we are promoting the United Nations very often,
so because these women believe that in war zones and conflict zones and crisis areas where crises are taking over, that people are just snatched up by the people that are offering them food or help or clothing or wash machines. Wash machines is a big thing during a crisis or a natural disaster a lot of people don't think about. Have you guys ever seen the big-ass trailers that like FEMA and other response people have set up that just have wash machines down one side and dryers down the other? Just so, maybe you've only got the pair of clothes you have on and, something they gave you, but at least you could do wash machines and dryers. But I don't think a lot of people are being snatched up from them. But because the Church of Latter-day Saints is always there doing charity and handing stuff out, they must know that these people are getting snatched up left and right.
In our general conference talks. And since we see people like Sharon Eubanks or Sister Bingham, who are leaders in the church, wearing armbands that say UN on them, which I find grossly disturbing, we have to wonder how much we are involved, we meaning this church we belong to, in this human trafficking. And that's why we're getting started on these.
So basically where we stand, we're not apostates, and we have not excommunicated yet, but we are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Some people call us Mormons, some people refer to us as LDS, but our name is Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We are members and we believe in the church. So we love Joseph Smith, we love Book of Mormon, we love Brigham Young, we believe the church is true.
We both served missions in South America.
Yep.
We both attended the temple and have taken our covenants, and we have been faithful to our covenants for decades and still are.
They're trying to qualify themselves like we're not apostates. We love the religion. We love everything about the religion, blah, blah, blah. But the leadership, they're the bad ones.
But unlike people inside the church, but like people outside the church, apostates, we are disgusted.
They brought the tide trucks here for the hurricane. Yeah. I never, until I saw that with my own eyes, you always think about food and water. And then personally, I've been in a position where I had to take hay one time to a natural disaster because a bunch of cattle were dying, horses and cattle and stuff. It was something down in Texas happened. I guess a hurricane hit Texas or some shit, or a drought. I don't remember, but I remember taking hay down there. But you never really think about like a washer and dryer, but that's a big fucking deal. Brigham Young, they're Mormons. What do you mean Brigham Young? Question mark. They're Mormons.
And that's kind of pretty mildly. We are very dissatisfied. We think they are evil, and we think the entire church is corrupt and has been so for a little bit. We don't think it's always been that way, but we believe that in the scriptures, this has actually been foretold that the Lord's church would become dirty and corrupted, and that the Lord would eventually have to cleanse it in the latter days. So that
Brigham Young was like the second ever president of the LDS Church, the second ever president, leader of the Mormons, right behind what's his name, Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith, who basically started it. Brigham Young was the second one.
That's where we stand. That's what we are. And we've started this channel to uncover this corruption and to help people inside the church know what to do so that they don't leave it, but they also can be aware of how to deal with the corruption and also how to hold on to those values and principles and morals that the current leadership is. Brigham
Young actually did. If you ever, I've just watched like documentaries on LDS. Brigham Young actually did quite a bit for the LDS Church. Like, he's the one who got them out to like Salt Lake City and shit. Like where their headquarters are, all this. He's the one who got them out there. Before that they were like in Indiana or Illinois or some shit. That's where the church actually started. But you know, now their strongholds in fucking Utah, right? He's the one who went out there like as pioneers, like and settled the land and set all that shit up. Was all Brigham Young. Joseph Smith founded it. Brigham Young took it to the West.
Is trying to dissolve and help people outside the church understand that.
Exactly. So where did we get our name? The sons of Eli among us. I can tell you where. I had a friend who went through a divorce, and the leaders of the church in our local area behaved in a very odd manner. In fact, a very unethical manner. And someone asked her, "Why do you belong to this church?" And she looked at them a minute, and I said, "These men who are doing this to her are not the Lord. They are the sons of Eli. They have their joy for a season, and then it will come to an end." Add that to all of the prophecies saying there are so many wolves among the sheep. You have prophecies from Ezra Taft Benson.
Yeah, he was a bad dude. Brigham Young was a bad dude, especially to be like a church leader. But I guess there's been a bunch of like church leaders that take real hard stances on a lot of things. But yeah, he was a bad dude out in the Wild West.
Wolves are among the sheep. The wolves are in the Lord's church, and he said, "Beware of them, because they wear the habiliments of the priesthood." Habiliment is a French word. It comes from a French word. It means clothing. So we were talking about people who are temple endowed and higher.
So right now we're going to show our picture. This is our the picture of the theme of our channel.
To be fair, I think at one time they may have been founded in actually Missouri, but when they moved out west, it was from Indiana, Illinois, somewhere around there. They may have been founded in Missouri. I can't remember. There's right there's the wolf. You guys see it? What type of clothing is that wolf wearing there?
Okay, so that was kind of a creepy picture. You have that cute sheep, and they're all together, and then right packed in there is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Really look at that if you want to go back to it. That evil, I don't even know how to describe it, that just frightening look.
Sinister.
Yes, sinister on that wolf. That is what is... That's our leadership.
Yes.
That's our leadership today.
And what we're seeing is the church embracing all sorts of things which the scriptures teach are abominable. We see an open...
I'll give you a tip for if you ever make a YouTube video, and it's not a live stream, like you're cutting it and editing it, don't have a clock in the background, because you're going to have cuts and jump cuts, and maybe you take a 20-minute break to rewrite the script and shit, and people are going to be like, why didn't they do nothing for 20 minutes? Why did the clock jump forward an hour and a half? What's going on? It just, I don't know. If you're fucking internet autistic like I am, the clock's going to bother people.
Open embracing of homosexuality. We see people like President Ballard, who apparently is not related to Tim Ballard, though we thought he might be, saying things such as, it doesn't matter if you have feelings for another man, if you're a man, sexual feelings. None of it matters as long as you don't act on it. Now, that is ridiculous. And he said that is the doctrine of this church. And I thought, I don't know what you mean by this church. Do you mean that's the doctrine of the Lord? That's the doctrine of the Christ? Or is that your doctrine? Because it cannot be supported in Scripture.
So right now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the scriptures, and we're going to read and explain, because maybe you haven't heard of who the sons of Eli are or who Eli was. So right now we're going to go in and we're going to show you how what's happening today happened in the scriptures many times, and show the parallels between our leadership and what the Lord eventually did and what he said during that time of corruption.
Okay, this is the first book of Samuel in the Old Testament, King James Version of the Bible.
Read 1 Samuel chapter 3. We're starting with verse 1.
Her glasses don't have any earpieces. Are they just for holding up like that? Hold on. Is the other... No, it has no earpieces. So she just holds... Do people do that?
And what he said during that time of corruption.
Okay, this is the first book of Samuel in the Old Testament, King James Version of the Bible.
Read 1 Samuel chapter 3.
That's right, Dr. J. It's crazy, isn't it? There was a documentary that come out not long ago. I don't know where. I would have to look this up. But did you see the one, Dr. J, where the reporter gets inserted with the Mormon kid who goes out? I forget what they call it, but you know, the boys at a certain age, they have to go out and live and do like the work. And that boy is like doubting the whole time about the Mormon church, but he's got to go check in with his, his church leader ever so often. You know what I'm talking about? He goes and lives with like, it is missionary work, but they call it something else. They call it something, but he goes out. What was that? Hold on. Documentary. No, they call it something else. It has like a name. I know what missionary is. They call it something like the work they do. I don't know. I'll keep looking for it. You listen to them.
Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli, and the word of the Lord was precious in those days. There was no open vision.
It's only one verse, and you can almost miss it, but it says that the word of the Lord was precious, and there was no open vision. So right now we're turning to a explanation of that from, this is the Old Testament student manual guide that the church has put out. This is an older version, so this is when we had good leadership in the church, and they wanted the truth out, and they have a quote from one of our prophets, Harold B. Lee. So it says in here, the word precious, as used here, means scarce. The word of God was seldom heard in all the land. Elder Harold B. Lee, who was then became prophet, explained why. Quote, he says, the story commences with a significant statement. And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli, and the word of the Lord was precious in those days. There was no open vision. That means that there was no prophet upon the earth through whom...
Like, it is missionary work, and they are on like mission to do that. Like, they do missions. But there's a very specific word for like this when the boys do it at a certain age. Like, it's like a rite of passage to like be a bigger member of it, so, or of the church, like a more substantiated member, I guess. And there's a word that I thought they used. I might be thinking of a different fucking religion, but there's a word that they use of like this. It's almost like a test. Like, you go out, you do this, you make sure it's right for you, you complete it, you come back, and now you're you can be like a leader of the church and stuff. I just can't remember what they call it. And maybe it's not the Mormons, maybe it's something else. But that documentary was wild. I don't think that's it. That's the Amish, yeah. When the Amish go out in the world or whatever. Rumspringa.
Through whom the Lord could reveal.
I would like to know what that documentary is.
Or by revelation. That's kind of big. You have, for the first time up to that point, a prophet whom the Lord has called and has his church set up, and that prophet was so wicked, the Lord was not speaking to him.
Right. And that's what's making people nervous. And you see all through the scriptures that there are wicked prophets. Balaam or Balaam, we always refer to him as Balaam. He was the one with the talking donkey.
Oh, that's what, Dr. J, did you say The Mission? It looks like that's the name of that documentary I was talking about. The documentary is called The Mission, I believe, the one I watched. Let me see. Here's a trailer for it. Let me pull it over here to where you guys can watch it too. Maybe. I do remember watching this when it first came out.
That's rough. Yeah.
He's it's interesting because he's struggling with everything. Like, not like questioning his sexuality, but like sexuality as a male. Like, he wants to, he thinks about having a girlfriend, and he wants, maybe he wants to have sex. Maybe the church isn't right for him. Maybe this is too much. It's a lot to do. He's away from his family. He's homesick. It's a lot of different sects or communities or religions or different groups of people have like rite of passage stuff. And a lot of times there's studies that people do we need like a rite of passage, like going from boyhood to manhood, or from girl to womanhood. Do we need a rite of passage? Is that something that we need in our lives to like delineate from boy to man, or to make you feel like you finally crossed the line? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I don't have any weird rites of passage, but I damn sure didn't feel like an adult at 18. I felt like a fucking lost kid.
It says it in the scriptures. It says every able young man should serve a full-time mission.
so excited for it. I will be apart from my family.
Maybe not. I don't really remember them following a girl.
Mitä sinulle kuuluu?
Maybe they did.
What we actually go through.
I remember seeing that kid though. It was a young boy with blonde hair. It looks like that one.
Come to love so much. It's something that
I shouldn't have skipped ahead.
I'm going to love the people and going to bring them back into the church.
Joo, mä uskon Jeesukseen, mutta mä en usko teidän oppiin. Mutta eikö te ollut ihan lapsissa saakka mormoneja? Joo. Just joo.
That figures. Were you born into Mormonism? Yes, that figures.
A lot of people only see the one side of things. They only see us out on the streets, but they don't see what we actually go through.
Is this the right documentary, Dr. J? Do you know?
this religion that I've come to love so much, it's something that has taken a lot of time for me to trust that these things are true.
It's called The Mission. This one is. I remember he was living with like three other males. Mormon boy on mission. He was living with like three other males in this house, and it was pretty long. Missionary sent home for cuddling with another missionary. Oh my God, an Adele parody? Sorry. Is it called The Divine Call? I'll look. Thank you. Oh no. Oh no. I love Jesus parodies.
Hello, it's us. We were wondering if after dinner you would like to meet to go over our beliefs. They say
oh no.
God's supposed to heal you, and it's done much healing. Hello, can you hear me? We're from Provo, Utah, teaching about who he used to be. We are only 19. Oh, I forgot to tell you,
no.
This is my companion elder beat. There's such a difference.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a go. Please share the link to the kick.com/coldbeerconfessional. There's a share button. And if you have nowhere to share it to, just hit share, copy link, and it kind of counts as a share. But if you can post it on your Facebook or to your friends or text it to somebody, I would greatly appreciate it.
Between us, 'cause we don't drink tea.
No caffeine.
Hello from the other side.
I got to sped up some, so maybe I won't get copyright on it.
1,000 times to tell you about everything our church does, but when we knock, you never seem to be home. Hello from the outside, at least.
Mariah, because she can't be mean to anybody. That just says young Mormons on a mission. That's not it. Mariah, because she cannot be mean to anybody, got somehow got tied up with the local Jehovah's Witness church. And they started showing up once a month to like talk to her. And she would always be like, tell them I'm not here. And I wouldn't, because I thought it was funny. I'd be like, oh yeah, she's right here. Come here, Mariah. Come here. They'd send her a newsletter and they show up like once a month to have like communion with her. It was so fucking weird.
We can say that we try.
And Mariah just can't be mean to anybody. She just can't. She can't do it. It's not in her. That's why she has me.
If you'd like to meet with us next week, and it don't matter if you don't want to see us again anymore. Hello, how are you? It's so typical of us to talk about the Nephite stories. We hope that you're swell. Did you ever make it out to church, or can we still make that happen? It's no secret that 3 hours of church is a heck of a long time. Hello from the other side. We must still ring 1,000 times to tell you we
I mean, they can sing at least.
10 or more wives, so when we ring, you never seem to be home. Hello from the outside, at least we can.
I think The Mission might be the one we're talking about.
To ask you if you need any help with your lawn, and it don't matter if you don't want to see us.
God, that sounds like I'm not looking that up. Jessa PhD says, was the documentary called Confessions of a Mormon Boy? I'm not typing that in. That sounds like something straight from the hub. Anyways, all of this started because I wanted to give a special shout out to one of my biggest haters who left over the Tim Ballet stuff. And then we got sidetracked over the Mormons. But it's time to give that shout out. You guys remember Kat, right? So thank you very much, Kat. I appreciate it. Thank you for going out of your way to give me a shout out and then posting all about it so we could know. So our good friend, Kat, posted this. I don't care if he does tell Pebbles I didn't give my name. I don't know if he will do anything. The point is that I called there to let them know that she's a bully online. It's what I chose to do, and if they do anything, okay. I wish I knew the answer to that question. I called her lawyer because I felt her lawyer should see some of the behaviors from Cold Beer Confessional and Pebbles herself. If he chooses to ignore that behavior, that is truly on him, because I'm sure other people are going to point this out, especially if they go to court. And I do want to thank Kat for that, mostly because Jeff is a huge fan of the show. Jeff loves the show. You may have left all in a tizzy over Tim Ballet, but I got Ella Jefe, and without that, who knows? Who knows where we'd be right now? Jeff is a big fan of the show, as some of you might know, and we're hashtag same team. We may have never been hashtag same team without Kat. Without Kat, calling in and being like, hey, this guy, I just want you to know this guy, Cold Beer Confessional, is a bully, and so is Pebbles online. They're bullies. But I didn't give my name. I just posted about it. So thank you to that. You may have single-handedly drove the hashtag same team elements right to us, and I appreciate that. So that's what we do here, I guess. We also have a little bit of an update. So if you didn't watch yesterday's show, I was told that if I didn't contact Jess, not Jessa, that's our mod, but if I didn't contact Jess, that she would be telling her principal, no, she would be telling her union, and it's definitely going on my permanent record. I don't know what she's telling her union, that I made fun of her online. I don't think I've made any factual claims about her, just what I feel like I found on Telegram. Whether those are true or not, I have no way to tell you, but apparently I'm being sent to in-school suspension. And I was really worried about it. This is the first time I've ever been in trouble in school. I don't have a single mark on my permanent record. I was a straight A student. I never kicked out a window and evacuated my classroom because a teacher got mad that we weren't taking a fire drill serious enough. I never got in, about 5 fucking fights a year, including one time that a teacher got in and I accidentally punched him in the face. I never wrestled my vice principal down to take a paddle away from him and told him I was a grown-ass man and he wasn't going to hit me with no stick. None of that ever happened. So I have to be good when we're talking about what goes on in a school. And so far I've been trying to keep my nose clean, right? Been trying to stay good, but it wasn't enough. It was not enough, folks. I'm here to tell you I received a message. I did really wrestle a paddle away from. I was 18 at the time. Then they called my dad to show up and said, "Well, he's 18. I'm not going to fucking take it from him. Are you going? What do you want me to do? I'm not wrestling him to take a paddle from him. Are you going to wrestle him?" So it wasn't enough. We ended up with this message. All of your stuff will be turned into my school, semicolon, expect a letter. Expect a letter. All for Pebbles. Hope it was worth it. Also, Phil has a text message. I sent Pebbles. I was a fan of yours. Shame on you for blindly believing someone who doesn't deserve it. So at first I just said, sounds good, thanks. But then I got to thinking, she's probably serious. She's probably serious. And she's really going to turn me into her school. By the way, she tried to insinuate that I had something to do with her school being on lockdown. And we've since learned that that was like a former student called in some type of threat and was arrested. Obviously not me. I don't have anything to do with it, but whatever. So she's probably serious. She's going to turn in. All of your stuff will be turned into my school. Expect a letter. All for Pebbles. Hope it was. You have no idea. No idea. One thing that I don't usually compromise on is like a loyalty to people who show me a loyalty. I don't let people go. Like if you do something wrong, I'm not blindly loyal and be like, well, it's fine. They just did it. Who cares? They're my friend. But if you're willing to stand up for me, I'm willing to stand up for you 100%, especially when we're both in the right. Also, Phil has a text message. I sent Pebbles. I was a fan of yours. Shame on you for blindly. And then for some reason, she started a new sentence, believing someone who doesn't deserve it. So I said, sound good, thanks. But then I started to panic. I need to cover my bases. I've got to make sure that I'm protected physically, legally, emotionally. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to call up my guy. And then we get this message exchange. Also, just to cover my bases, okay? Just to cover my bases, because it has just as much relevancy and will have just as much effect. I will be reporting you to the Muffin Man. Expect a letter that's postmarked from Drury Lane. So there you go. You're not going to back me into a fucking corner. Do you know the Muffin Man? Do you know the Muffin Man? Report me to your principal. I'll report you to the Muffin Man. She has since responded. And said, so you think this is funny? Cool. I think the Muffin Man's fixing to straighten this shit out. I responded with, yeah, most of the time, that is what I get paid to do. Be funny. Thank you. No further communication. She's probably turning this all over to the principal right now. Or the vice principal in case the principal or the resource officer. I don't know. She made it sound like when she did the lockdown shit, she was like, what did she say? She was like, oh, recently, since you know where I work, everybody knows where you work. Phil doxed you and tagged the school you work in a hashtag. But since you know where I work, since you know all about me, we were on a lockdown recently and the FBI was involved. As if that has anything to do with me. And she's going to turn me into the FBI for making fun of her 15-year-old profile picture? What? Hell, this might not even be the real Jess. This is just the person who contacted me. It looks like the real Jess because last time I clicked on her profile, it was a ridiculously old profile picture that she was doxxed with. And is she Melon's girlfriend? No, that's Kennedy. It was a ridiculously old profile picture that she was doxxed with. And it says we have one group in common. So it could, hell, maybe it's not even her. I don't know. All I know is the Muffin Man is now on the case. The Muffin Man is now on the case. It's your bed. Now you got to sleep in it, I guess. Wait till you meet the Muffin Man. I am fully represented by the law firm of El Jefe, Hansel and Gretel, LLC. LLP? I can't remember. El Jefe, Hansel and Gretel, LLC, Incorporated. Hold on just a second. All right, back to it. Oliver's mom. Oliver's mom's been making some waves. So she put out a screenshot, or she put out a message about a screenshot and said, $100 reward. $100 reward. Forwarded her own message. Oliver's mom. These are all people that are kind of irrelevant, but we might as well address them all at once. So, Kat, thank you for bringing El Jefe to me. We are now hashtag same team, so I appreciate that. Didn't she threaten Phil when he doxed her? I don't believe she did. Did she threaten Phil when she? I don't know. I heard. I don't even know if this is true. This will probably be going to the school board. I heard they're related through marriage, and Phil knows everything about her, and he even said like as long as she continues to cooperate, she's fine. So who knows? But Phil does shit like that, right? So like Phil will insinuate that he's working with this group or that group. I think someone emailed him once and was asked him a question, and she's like, you don't know, me and GNAT are working together now, or me and Pebbles, or me and Will, or whatever. They're giving me information, whatever. He does shit like that, so who knows if it's true or not. But Oliver's mom forwarded her own message to say, $100 reward for anyone who can provide an original screenshot, where I said, Will Bird is a snake in the grass. I hear it was a topic more than once. Hashtag disclaimer. I'm confident I know where the rumor originated, but let's see where it goes. Now, you don't mean I'm the receipt guy, but I don't have this receipt. What actually happened in this whole thing is someone told me that Oliver's mom said I was a snake in the grass. So Oliver's mom at the time had just recently apologized to everybody and joined my group and started her own page and was posting in my group. And I didn't really engage with her, but she was part of my group, right? So someone told me she called me a snake in the grass. So I asked her, did you, and why would you call me a snake in the grass? She instantly left the group and refused to answer. I don't know what you want me to. I don't know what you want me to say. If it wasn't true, why didn't you say I didn't? Wait a second, I didn't. She instantly left the group, didn't say anything to anybody. I mean, imagine someone coming up and asking me like, "Hey, did you say this?" And I just fucking dip the fuck out, just gone. Never respond. Don't address it. Just gone. I'd be like, yes, I said that, or no, I didn't say that. But she just dipped the fuck out. So I don't know what she wants me to do. I don't know if a screenshot exists. I guess the question is, why did you respond in such a way? Why did you respond in such a way? I said, Oliver's mom, do you have some kind of issue with me? Or I guess I think, that I have spies for some reason. So this is another thing that was going on. Like she kicked Mark Leonard out of her group and was like, we don't know why you're here, but we were all supposed to be a big happy family. She kicks Mark Leonard out of her group and she's like, we know why you're here. We know. That's why you got banned. It was someone else that did it, but we all know why you're there. And then she started accusing people of me having people spy in her group for her content. So I said, Oliver's mom, you have some kind of issue with me? That's a question. Or, I guess, think that I have spies for some reason? That's a question. Care to elaborate on the snake in the grass? Care to elaborate to the, quote, snake in the grass, your words, not mine, himself? So should you care to elaborate to me, myself? Snake in the grass was included in that claim. So I asked her 3 questions. Do you have an issue with me? Do you think I have spies in your group for some reason? Or do you care to elaborate to me what you called a snake in the grass? Gone. Left. Out of there. Why wouldn't she just answer? If it's all just a big misunderstanding, why wouldn't you say, like, I never said that. I don't think you're a snake in the grass. I don't think you have spies. I kicked Mark Leonard for some other reason, whatever. But just to dip the fuck out. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think I was going to pop out of your screen? So I don't know. A screenshot might exist. I have no idea. I don't have it. I was just asking the question. It was weird that it was weird that you banned a bunch of people, I guess. Like, so it was basically like, I think Rebels, Pebbles, Robin, Mark, all those people got banned and I guess accused of spying, allegedly. Let's see if I can find this. These are going to be some old ones. But I thought it was interesting enough to at least have to ask the question. Either way, thank you guys. Thank you, Kat, for the new followers. Thank you, Jess, for rekindling my relationship with the Muffin Man. I hadn't spoke to him in a while. And thank you, Oliver's mom, for the trip down memory lane. I'm trying to figure this out. God, they would be so old. That's Rattletrap. Oh, it wouldn't be that old. I was trying to find the screenshots that Mark shared with me. I can do it this way. Photos. Yeah. The screenshot where he was just randomly kicked out of Oliver's mom's group. Like the group that she shared in my chat and told everybody to join, which I thought was kind of weird. Let me do this because I don't know what I'm fixing to share. If you want to contribute to the show, go to coldbeer.fund. But I'm going to be doing this. All right, so that's contact with a scammer. That's not it. That's not it. It's going to be here somewhere. Give me a second. Oh, that was screenshots of me messaging Shelly. God, that was a good time. Melon, this is about the same time Melon started kicking everybody out too. Nope. That is Shelly harassing somebody named Roger Dox. The guy who owns, that's not it. It's before that. I'm looking. Give me just a second. Telegram EAS. These, by the way, some of these conspiracy theories reach pretty far and wide. I guess even Mariah's mom had texted me about the EAS, and she sent me a message. I'll read it to you in a minute, but it was basically like, Mariah's mom, at least instead of just running with stuff and putting it out there and saying this is true, at least she messages me and asks me if stuff's true, which was good. I'll read you the message, but it was over the EAS, the emergency alert system. Oh, here it is. Oliver's mom. Let's see what we got. So Oliver's mom says, why don't you go directly to the people in the screenshot that was posted in Skiff and ask them why they made those comments on their own? Maybe this has nothing to do with Phil. Mark says, have you told people not to donate to Pebbles or that she wasn't using the proceeds for a court case? And before you answer, I already know the truth, so no need to lie. No, I did not. And you're going to show in writing where I said otherwise. Believe it or not, Mark, I don't control other people's thinking. Trying to ask asking a couple exactly why they made those comments. Oh, this might be after they already broke up. You're lying because you did the exact same thing with me. You got paranoid because of the shit you'd been doing and told Cajun to kick me from your group, which is gutless. Why not do it yourself? And before you deny that, you lied directly in the convo we had. The first thing you said was you didn't know why I had been booted. Then a few sentences later, I was kicked because you thought Pebbles had sent me to spy. So I don't want to hear any bullshit. And you've been good at deleting a ton of your posts lately. Only guilty people do that. And don't tell me I'm going to do anything. I'm not your child. Good job, Mark. You're accusing me of talking about her fund. I have not. My donations remained. Nor did I comment, but you don't ask, just go guns blazing into other chats. Maybe people get disgusted with Pebbles' actions, make it their own choice. So we're getting closer to what originally happened. Still not there yet, though. Oh, here it is. Here we go. I found it. So I had personally said, I guess Oliver's mom thinks I have spies out there with these other people, right? I thought you showed that. No, I just showed the screenshots of like where she disappeared. I don't actually have the screenshot of her saying it, just where I asked her about it and she dipped. So Oliver's mom says, thank you for the attacks out there. I never said you were in my chat for Will. Okay. Mark says, that's not what was said. Will correctly said you booted me because none of his other members were in the group. Do not blame me for anything going on with you. That's your own words, blah, blah, blah. She says, read above, Mark. It was me questioning while 24 hours later, a non-member of Army presented me with a screenshot instructing me to take down a post on my private chat. Was it a stretch to think those two things had a connection? Maybe Pebbles can state directly to you how she got this screenshot if it wasn't you. That's where the questioning came into play. Also noted where we retracted our ban. Mark, you're free to say what you want. So again, she's not claiming that he's a spy, but she's saying, oh, Pebbles has a screenshot she shouldn't have had, so you had to give it to her. Is that not exactly him being a spy, like you said? Is that not exactly what you're accusing him of? What the fuck is going... Like, yeah, of course it is. Mark says, did I get booted? I can't see the group anymore. This is how it all started. Did I get booted? I can't see the group anymore. Then he, no answer on the 4th of July. July 5th, question mark. Did I get booted from your chat? I don't see the group anymore. Oliver's mom says, I think it was by mistake. Cajun let you in. You seem panicked about this. Why? Mark says, I'm not panicked. I'm just asking. You said, Mark says, you had sent me the link a few days ago when I DM'd you. That's how I joined again. I'm just asking. Oliver's mom. Okay, we banned several and Cajun didn't know it was you. Mark, it's cool, although she knows who I am. No worries. Oliver's mom. We didn't get why you wanted to join since no other Will people are in here. What does that mean? So like there's not enough people that are in there are people that are in my group and in Oliver's mom's group. 100%. But I guess none of my more ardent supporters are in the groups. I don't know. What the fuck does that mean? She then says, so she says it was a mistake. And then she says, we didn't get why you wanted to join since no other Will people were in here. So Mark says, okay, however, if I asked to join, there had to be a reason. But you're allowed to have or not have whomever you choose in your group. Just didn't understand why I was booted when I think I only made one post, and that was to say hi to someone. Again, no worries. I'm okay either being or not being there. You're fine. We both know why you joined. All good. He just said he didn't join for any spying or anything, and he's fine being there or not being there. And she comes back with, I didn't accuse you of being a spy. We both know why why you joined. All good. Yeah, you are. Just because you don't say the word spy, that's exactly what you're doing. Mark puts question marks and then says, I'm about as straightforward as anyone on Telegram. If you had any questions, you could have just asked me. All I was doing was trying to keep up with what was going on with Phil and text. And someone asked me why Rocky was on there. I told them I didn't know. However, I've been very open about my distrust of Rocky and why I feel that way. Again, I would have thought you'd have come to me and asked. I had no ulterior motives, but everything on Telegram seems to be cloak and dagger, and everyone is paranoid. It's why, this is back in July, by the way. It's why I left a lot of groups a while back. Also, I rejoined many of them so I can help Pebbles gather info on her case, but whatever. Then she says, now again, she's not accusing him of being a spy, but her next comment says, we felt Pebbles sent you here. What? What are you sharing over there in your group that Pebbles, the one that you, like 3 weeks ago, you were supporting and saying you were going to auction off your jewelry for her and sharing her link and in my group and all. Now Pebbles can't even know someone who joins your group. Mark says, shaking my head again, you could have just asked me. I didn't get sent anywhere by anyone, but based on our conversation, I believe you did me a favor by booting me. I have no desire to be where there's unnecessary drama. Also proves to me more that Telegram so far too much about paranoia and drama. I have no desire for either. Like I said, you're welcome. I'm just being honest. Are you being honest, or did you have no idea why he was booted? Which is the first. I have no idea. Are you not in there anymore? I'm sorry. And I think what actually set all this off with Pebbles is like Pebbles was overwhelmed with like moving and downsizing her business. She has a long-term illness. And she's trying to set up a new salon, a much smaller salon, because of the changes in her business from Phil and fighting this court case. Pebbles just left her chat, and that's what started all of the craziness there between Pebbles and Oliver's mom the 10th time around, or the 100th time around, or the 1,000th time around, whatever this is. I don't know. It's Telegram drama. Either way, thanks to Oliver's mom for reminding me of why she left my group. Thanks to Kat for sending me El Jefe. And thanks to Jess for introducing me. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you for a second, Jess. If I look up your principal at your school, is she gonna be kind of sexy? Or is he gonna be kind of sexy? Either one. How about some stockings? Some like fishnets? Do you think they'll bring a yardstick ruler? You think they'll bring a yardstick ruler with them? It's been a while. I can't get Mariah to spank me at all. Yes, I left voluntarily and told her that I was leaving because I was overwhelmed with life. I left the day before Mark got kicked, laugh out loud. Yeah, exactly. That's this crazy paranoia they all got. For some reason, they think I'm interested in any of their shit. I'm not at all. Like I'm just not interested. That's just not something I'm interested in. Like, they talk about me, I cover it and say, hey, I'm not interested. And then again, they talk about me again. I got a paddle you can borrow, Will. Look out. That is the update for Jess. I hope she clipped this so she can send it as well to her school. I will be expecting 2 letters now, at least. I wonder if you ever reported Phil to your school and he received a school letter. I hope they're not watching my videos and grading them, because I haven't been doing the greatest job there. Sorry about that, but we'll see. If I don't make the A honor roll, my parents are going to kill me, Jess. You're putting me in a bind here, okay? You're putting me in a bind. Let's go ahead and watch this Linda Benda thing. I want you guys, I'm going to drop the link to this video. I want you guys to go give it a view as well when it's not on the live stream. That way she still gets all the views. So make sure you go view it as well by yourself or later, or watch it again, or let it play in the background, or go give it a like or something. Because I do like her content, Linda Benda's content, and I don't want to like steal her views from her, but I want to watch it together with you guys as well. So here is the Linda Benda documentary. The issue is they were playing gossip games behind each other's backs, and now, there's only so long you get. The issue is they spend too much time on Telegram, and they like to try. All these women like to try to be friendly and fit in. Then they also like to have like this nobody fucks with me demeanor. So they're like friendly to your face. They're talking behind your back about everybody. There are no real friends. It's just people that they're not talking bad about currently is who their friends are. And then that eventually all surfaces. Like they made so many friends. They talk so much shit about their friends to all these other people who are no longer their friends. And there's just all these messages about we're going to dox this person. We're going to do this person. Fuck that person. I never liked this person. It's just so much. They spend way too much time on. They fight on Telegram for like 16 hours a day. I've never seen anything like it. Which Oliver's mom's apparently all of her shit's paid for. Like her parents pay for everything. So she just gets to run around and be a Telegram Karen. I don't know. They spend too much time there for sure. Like I use Telegram obviously to interact with you guys, to post polls and to post my links, and if someone tags me I try to answer them, but there's no fucking way I spent 16 hours there. Here we go. Linda Benenda, my interview with Jupiter's sister. Please, I'm going to drop the link after we're done watching this. Please go give it a like.
Hey guys, it's
actually, I'll drop it right now. Please go give it a like. Let it play in the background when you have a time. Do it multiple times. Give this the views it deserves so more people see it, and so she gets the views that she's entitled to over there. Let me grab this, and I'm going to put it in the Kick Chat. Cut. I got to put it over here. I was trying to use Restream, but it won't work. Amen, Will. It's insane. Yeah, there's too many people there. And look, there's people that I didn't get along with that I've like, fuck them if they're going to talk shit about me, that are now coming back around and shit, or in part of our groups, or jumping in here, jumping in there. When Oliver's mom apologized to me and Mariah, I was like, no big deal, or apologized to Mariah, but it was to me and Mariah, but she sent it to Mariah. It's like, whatever, we can let her in, but if anything happens, she's gone. And then I asked her a question, she left of her own, but I even tried to let these people back in my group. She was in my group for weeks posting stuff, posting links to her group for people to join. And I didn't have an issue with it. But then I asked her like, hey, do you have a problem with me? Or do you think I have spies? Or did you call me a snake in the grass? Dip, gone, out of here. Anyways, yeah, the hell, everybody leave a comment on Linda Benda's video that says Cold Beer Confessional sent me.
And I'm here with one of Jupiter's sisters. Her name is Kia. I just want to make a safe space where she feels comfortable. And I hope that you guys will take what she says. And if you're going through the things that she went through, really, I hope you can learn from her story and maybe grow from her story. I think it's very inspiring. So this is Kia.
Hello.
Again, some people have made accusations that these questions here are very leading. That's a good observation. Just keep in mind that they've already had this conversation before, this whole conversation. They've talked for hours already, and the woman just wasn't ready to do the interview. But then she came forward and said, you know what, I'll do it. So they're having this conversation again. So are the questions kind of leading? Yes. Could that be because they've already had this conversation and she's just trying to get everything fit in? It could be. I'm not making the decision for you. I'm just letting you know the backstory.
She's really sweet. I really love talking to her. We've become friends, and I just want to ask her some of your guys' questions today, and we're going to get to know more about Kia. So there's about like a 1 year age difference, right?
Yeah.
So that means you guys went to like the same
very
schools
close
and the same like
1 year difference.
Yeah. So with the cutoff for my specific school, I missed it by a month. Otherwise, we would have been in the same grade.
So kind of explain like your childhood with Corbin, and explain if there was a turning point where
If you don't know what all this is, there is a guy named Jupiter who is on a bunch of different social media apps. One of the most prevalent one right now was TikTok. He's currently not on there right now, but he was on TikTok. He believes, or he at least says, that he's a werewolf, vampire hybrid, all this weird shit. Then he started talking about impregnating stuffed animals and transforming into werewolves, blah, blah, blah. Just weird stuff that we would all laugh and giggle and go on. But then it got really weird and dark, including contacting underage girls, telling a 14-year-old if she thinks she's ready, then she is ready to have kids. And the 14-year-old says, so you would breed with me? And he's like, absolutely. Hitting on underage girls. There's been some accusations of nudes that have been sent to underage girls. This has all been reported to his local police department. It's hard to tell whether they're doing an investigation or not, but it doesn't seem like it. But this is the more we find out about him, the more there's a history of this guy named Jupiter doing all these crazy things. I think the Nose Crew just left. We just lost like 6 or 7 viewers as soon as we started Linda Benda's segment.
Noticed changes in his behavior.
I mean, we had like a fairly okay childhood. I mean, yes, him and I have some.
Oh, last thing about Telegram drama. I know there's somebody that those screenshots from Cat were cataloged by someone who's like keeping a file on everybody, and apparently they're keeping a file on me and putting out a bunch of shit that basically I already know about, that everybody already knows about. Like they published that we lost our house, right? They've published like people claiming that there's no way he lost his house. He's scamming. He bought a camper. They shared like Shane 187's video, who was going to expose me every week for a year and did one video and it failed horribly. Like they're keeping a file on me. They got a file on Phil and all these other people. But yeah, I know that exists. Mariah found it quicker than anybody. She found it like 3 days ago and showed it to me. But I don't care. It's all shit that is already out there. I'm an open book. I've told you guys everything. Like even my faults, even the times I fuck up, even when I've messed up, even when I've screwed this up or that up or made a mistake. I've told you guys that. So whatever. My whole life's on the internet. I'm not mad that someone put it together. You know what I'm saying?
Sexual abuse trauma.
That's right, JT.
Trauma. I have a little bit more than he does. Our brother Junior, or Shane, as most.
It's all drama, Trey.
He
all there
is a very good brother, so to speak. But that happened, I think I was 3 and Corbin was 4, and that kind of went on until we were 9 and 10. So for the most part, we did normal things. He was into more video games, and where I was more athletic. I liked sports. So I mean, like, other than home, we didn't hang out a lot. I mean, there was a point in time when we were like little where we were like best friends. I have pictures of us like constantly being together.
Is there like a certain age that things started to get, a little weird between you two?
When I was kind of preteen, teenage years, I started noticing a lot of favoritism between my mom's relationship with me and my sisters to her relationship with her and Corbin. I know that she did spoil him a lot, and she was called out on it a lot growing up by our oldest siblings, the oldest ones being 23 and 20 years older than I am. So I mean, she would get called out on it. She'd be like, "Oh, I'm not treating anyone any differently," but it was very obvious she was.
So what I learned is, you and Corbin have a lot of siblings, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like, so the 3 of you were adopted from the same family, and so you 3 were raised together in this house with a few other siblings, right?
With Jupiter and me and Junior, we have 2 siblings that came from the same family. So we were adopted as a unit of 5 into a family of 5. The oldest was 18 when we entered the home.
So basically how it was, you were the youngest, and then it was Jupiter, and then it was Junior. So when you and Jupiter were growing up, because you were similar.
That's right. You guys see me taking a watery shit on my old refrigerator. That's probably the coolest thing I've ever made. That's actually a YouTube video I did. You know those quirky like 30-minute crafts videos or whatever? One of them was to make a magnet of yourself by taking a picture and cutting it out, gluing it to a magnet. That's how I made that. It didn't say make it like you're taking a shit and then put it over your water dispenser, but potato, right?
Really like in a similar age range. You mentioned that you were sexually, abused.
That's right, redhead.
Was that by your older brother, Junior?
Yes, that was by Junior.
Somebody needs to write grandma a remix. Instead of give me one margarita, it's going to give me one crack rock. Give me one crack rock. I'm going to suck on your cock. Give me 2 crack rock.
And that's the one that's in jail right now for...
Yes. Yes, that is correct.
I just want to say to like everybody watching that, I think that, you are a very strong person. I've heard a lot about what you've been through, and, you're writing a book about all your experiences with the family. Let's get into how you were treated by the rest of your family members. So you had a great relationship with Jupiter when you were younger, and then when things started escalating, you were, cast aside, right?
I mean, I had a good relationship for the most part with all of my siblings. There was like a turning point, like I guess I was like 10, maybe 11 years old, where my mom did favor him a lot more, and I was noticing it. I also noticed my dad didn't favor him, and it would make my mom angry. But for the most part, my siblings, they tried to treat us all fairly. I quarreled with them as siblings do. Corbin's kind of always had anger issues ever since like we were like really tiny. They started getting worse and worse because mom would say things like, he's autistic, he doesn't know what he's doing. But then I'm sure that everyone like can very well tell he does indeed know what he's doing. I would be sitting on the complete opposite side of the room coloring. He'd lose a game and he'd walk over and he'd throw whatever remote he had in his hands at my head. And I would tell my mom, and my mom would call him into her office. She would scold him, and then nothing would happen.
So basically, he was coddled his whole life by his mom, and that made a huge impact on the person who he is today. What you said about his mom's excuse about he's autistic, he doesn't know better. He has used that to this day to defend his actions.
Oh, I know. It's a big reason why I don't talk to my family, but once in a blue moon, and it's also a big reason why I kind of left my family.
Yeah,
because of the coddlement of my brother.
Someone asked, what was life before Jupiter was, they said, weird? Was it peaceful? Was it calm before he started being favorited, before he started being coddled? Was there ever a before, or was he always coddled like that?
I want to say he's always been coddled like that. My siblings have always told me that he's always been coddled. I didn't see it personally until we were later on in our years, like 9, 10. There was a lot of times where we would hang out. We would go do normal kid stuff, like I have videos when we were kids, like home videos. There's good memories. There's like, he was a normal kid. We were really creative, really funny kids.
And I can tell it's hard for you to put those in the past because that's not the person he is today. It might still be somewhere inside of him, but all the good memories that you remember have been tarnished by, the things he did after that. It's kind of like he just flipped a switch. It sounds like good memories that you had with him. And it's so sad that that person that he was when he was younger isn't the person he is today.
He's not as fun now. Let's just say that.
He's not as fun.
He's kind of a jerk now.
I kind of wanted to get into some of the questions that I have. He's, I've talked with him a bunch online on FaceTime and things like that. And he's mentioned a few things about his family. There were a lot of times where we would start like flirting or talking, kind of sexually a little bit. And the next thing he would bring up is his sisters. And a lot of my viewers found that really weird that a lot of times when he would start flirting, he would bring up his sisters. Like one time he said, my sister got stuck in the dryer. And one of his sisters says, thanks for not effing me. So he brought up weird things with with sisters, and people just thought that was weird.
Well, I can just clear that up and say that none of that happened. Aside from Junior and what happened with Junior, nothing else sexual happened between us. Other than when he got older and when I got older and started developing more, like reaching our puberty stages, then he would attempt to like rope me or my sisters. It got so bad where I actually had to get my dad involved because I would tell my mom and she'd be like, he just doesn't know what he's doing. He just gotta repeat.
So the mom would make an excuse and say he doesn't know what he's doing while he's groping his sisters.
Repeat. And so I finally ended up telling my dad, and my dad said, well, if he does it, just go ahead and smack him. So I did. Never touched me like that again.
So your mom was pretty much on the Corbin train, and your dad was, rooting for all of his daughters and sons. So it's pretty sad to see that, you were never treated equally by your mother. You said that he started to touch you inappropriately in places that a brother should not touch you. Was that happening often before you slapped him?
It happened really frequently. I can't pinpoint like how often. I just know that it happened often enough where I was having like bruises of different colors on my body from him.
Was he playful about it, or was he like deviant about it?
It would start out as he wanted like a hug or something. Eventually I just stopped giving him hugs because it got so bad. But he would want hugs and he would put his hands where they didn't belong. And then we would call him out on it. And he'd be like, I'm sorry. Like kind of like what he's doing now. I've seen a few of the videos. Yeah. Kind of like what he's doing now where I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Then he immediately does it again.
And that's very sad to hear that happened to you. Can you walk through like that night that you woke up and...
By the way, Jeff, if you're still watching, the next time someone calls you and tells you I'm a bully, would you please just say, yeah, I know, # same team, and then hang up?
You found him strapped to a chair?
But what had happened was my mom had just gotten home. She was heading back down the hallway to the bathroom, and she happened to look over at the boys' door, and on the door was a sign that said, "Don't come in, we are playing naked." Well, she opened the door. Shane had used, I think, their ties to tie him up to the chair and was touching him inappropriately and touching himself inappropriately with no clothes on. And so that kind of raised my mother's awareness to what was going on.
That, must have been so traumatizing for you to see. Did that happen only once, or do you think it was happening repeatedly where Junior, aka Shane, was, touching Corbin, aka Jupiter, inappropriately?
I mean, with as much as it was happening to me, I don't doubt it. And it was really hard to determine when it started, how it started, and how long it had been going on, because the boys shared a room. Corbin was on the top bunk and Junior was on the bottom.
Do you want to share what happened with you and Shane?
I remember the first time it happened to me. I don't know how old I was, but I remember we were outside. We were jumping on the trampolines and the sprinklers were going, so it was summertime. We were in our swimmers. Shane told us, so us being me and Corbin, our swimming suits were dirty and we needed to take them off. I'm like, okay, like my brain is like, okay, let's go inside and do that and come back out with a clean suit on. He's like, no, it's okay. Just take them off and leave them here on the trampoline and the sprinklers will wash them off. And so we did, being kids. Junior took Corbin up into, we had like this treehouse play center. He took him up there. I don't know what they were doing, but I know after a while, Junior came back down and tried to get me to go up in there with them. And I said no and ran away like a smart person.
So even as a young...
I bet you some of these, not to take away from the video going on, I was just thinking, I bet you some of these motherfuckers on Telegram, I bet you our oldest, what is Oliver's mom's probably 60. What are you all doing on Telegram all day? Fucking talking shit and sending messages and pretending to be friends with, I don't know.
Child, you knew that something was probably going on in that treehouse that shouldn't have been, and that's why you ran away.
I know just from recent encounters with my biological family that Junior and my older sisters, when they were younger and living with my biological family, that he would tie them up, and that's probably where that came from.
Your biological father would tie up your siblings just to keep them in one place?
Talk about a red flag. There's never a reason to tie up your kids at all.
I have no idea. I don't know the answer to that. I did talk to my biological father and explain some of the things that Junior did. And my biological father was like, oh, that's probably my fault. I used to tie up your siblings and make them escape from it or something like that. Don't remember all the conversation. Yeah. My biological parents are another story.
Yeah. And he's the guy that says that claims that you and your siblings are half black?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds
he's a
great.
He's a little bit of a Fruit Loop.
It runs in the family a little bit.
It has a little bit. I mean, I've been talking with my biological father, and he does say that a lot of the men, specifically the men in my family, my biological family, are predators.
Let's talk about your breaking point when you decided to leave your family.
After my mom died, things kind of just escalated, just with my entire family. Like, I was under a lot of emotions, not just from my family, but kind of, I felt like I had no purpose, and I felt like my mom's death was my fault. Because I hadn't been doing something right, or she would still be here. It was, I guess, survivor's guilt. I mean, I still feel it a little bit now and then. But in regards to what happened with Jupiter, I think I was like 8.
That's rough. I suffer from survivor's guilt.
18, 19. We were heading into town because we lived in a small town. There's 2 restaurants and a cafe out there, and that's it. But I wanted to go somewhere for dinner and just kind of feel some form of regularness after my mom died. So we got my 2 sisters and me and Corbin and my dad. We planned to go out to eat for my birthday. And Corbin lived the furthest, so Dad picked him up, brought him to the house, got me and one sister, and then we were off to get my oldest sister. The car broke down because it ran out of gas. My oldest brother came with some gas, and my dad stepped out. My sister and I that were in the car decided to idle ourselves, like entertain ourselves while we're being idle. So we started singing songs that we liked, and Corbin didn't like that, so he told us to stop or he'd hurt us. And we didn't. We told Dad, because Dad had opened the door to grab something. We're like, Dad, he's threatening us again. He's like, oh, just ignore him. He doesn't mean anything by it. He doesn't understand what he's saying. He doesn't understand what he's doing. I'm like, no, Dad. He legit will hurt us. We decided to continue with what we were doing because, that's what our dad told us to do. And Corbin grabbed the seatbelt. I was in the front seat and he pulled it tight so I couldn't move it, strangling me basically. And so I took off my shoe and I hit him with it. And he then turned to CR and said that he was going to strangle her next. And I told him if he so much as laid a finger on her, my shoe that I had in my hand was going to go into his skull.
Oh my gosh. Was that
some type of weird strangling fetish?
The first time he ever tried to hurt you?
No, that was the last.
What was the first time?
Corbin was playing with some books on the shelf. And I was showing my mom a song, singing my mom a song while she was in the bathroom, like kids do. Showing her a song and dance I had learned at daycare. And Corbin just comes up and touches me right in the nose.
Oh my God.
Blood everywhere. Of course, he gets scolded. My mom cleans us up and talks about using gentle hands. No repercussion for him, no timeout or anything. But the first time he tried to end my life, because that was not the first time he tried to end my life. I think I was like 10, 11, maybe 12. He started ramming my head into the door frame of his bedroom.
The
and there was a couple of times in between that time and the last time that he attempted. My mom had gone into surgery. She got her knees replaced and was in recovery for it. My task was to make sure that Corbin got into the shower because it had gotten so bad that some kids were making fun of him and making fun of me for having bad hygiene in school. And so Dad challenged us with the task to get Corbin to take a shower. And he refused. And he chased me down and strangled me. I think I was like 16. That would put him at 17. That was probably the first time in quite a few years that Corbin had got punished. But we had all got
At least he got punished, I guess.
You were trying to get him in the shower.
That's right. Layers of abuse.
He was retaliating. He put his hands around your neck, right?
Yeah.
And could you explain what that felt like at that time?
I kind of just, this is just going to be the end. This is it.
You thought that he was finally going to kill you.
Yeah. I thought that this would be also kind of a relief if he did, because then my mom would have no choice but to send him to prison. I was thinking about my sisters and my brothers and my nieces and nephews. Like, I legit had everybody that I ever knew, everybody that I ever encountered, and I just thought it just wouldn't matter anymore.
You were kind of thinking, I've been the scapegoat for years. I've been the one that, got all the lashings, got all the hate, got all the punishments. And if this was the time that Jupiter was caught doing something bad and he got sent to prison, then losing my life would be worth it. So he wouldn't have the chance to hurt others.
Like, if this is the way I'm going to go, this is the way I'm going to go, and I'd be okay with that.
But fortunately, it wasn't, and you're still here, and smiling and breathing, and living your best life. I want to kind of like shift a little bit. I don't want to talk about anything deep for our next question. Let's talk about Jupiter's scent. I've always, I know that you, just looking at him, you can tell that he smells. I want to hear about what his hygiene was like growing up. I've heard a little bit about it from you, but I want you to recap what you told me.
This is so bad. Sorry, I'm laughing, but it's just, I don't know why it's funny. I don't even know if it's awkward anymore for me. I remember both of the scents that were both of my brothers growing up. Both of them had very specific scents. Like, you could walk in their room and you could know which brother was in there last.
Ooh.
Junior
Ooh.
had like the smell, and this is going to be really gross, but it's the smell of sweat and like a musty kind of mildew scent, and the smell of like, if anyone has teenage brothers, I am so sorry, but when they don't clean up their mess from doing what teenage boys do properly, it has a very specific smell.
Yeah.
And so you could definitely tell. But with Corbin specifically, there was those two smells, but also he didn't have good bathroom habits. It would also smell like urine and fecal matter.
Great. Sounds lovely.
We had this chair that he would sit in when we were moving houses. My dad had to throw it away because it smelled like that, and we couldn't get rid of the smell.
So kind of like his dirty brown mattress that he has now?
Kind of, yeah.
I understand teenage boys smell. Like, I smell when I was fucking young and shit, like sweaty and going through, but I couldn't imagine having a distinct smell for each one, and you could tell the last one that was in the room. But that's what bothers me.
If you had to guess what was on that mattress that he has now, what made it brown? Was it his sweat? Was it his dirt?
I think it would probably be a little bit of fecal matter. It might be dirt. He might not be lying on that, but I'm pretty sure that it would be a little bit of fecal matter.
So when you guys were older and living together, did he take showers?
Yeah, Dad made him get showers, fortunately for me.
But you think if it wasn't for your dad, he wouldn't have showered?
Yeah. I'm 100% sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned something about his potty training the other day.
Oh, yeah. Mom coddled him so much that he wasn't potty trained until he was 17. There was a point in time where he was using the
potty trained 17
95% of the time. And then I don't know what happened. And then all of that seemed to just be thrown out the window. And so eventually it got so bad that my dad, once again, thank you to my dad, stepped in and was like, Mom's not going to clean you up anymore. And just threw like a pair of chonies at my brother. He had like the grown-up diapers.
Do you think that he ever grew out of wearing those diapers?
No, he was still wearing them the last time I saw him.
So he could be walking around Idaho in these grandpa diapers filled with fecal matter. And that wouldn't surprise me that his mattress is brown.
It wouldn't surprise me that is what he's doing exactly.
Wait. And
I'm sorry.
Their adoptive parents adopted and fostered a bunch of kids. Oh God, that raises so many more questions.
Deal with that.
Out of everything about him, that was bearable for me.
So aside from the bad hygiene, he still was probably a torturous brother to have living with you. Not just from his actions, but from the people around him, like his mother. As long as he was in the house living with her, all her focus and attention would be on him.
After the whole incident where he tried strangling me, that was the final straw. My dad forced my mother to put him into a group facility because he was worried about the safety of me. Even after she placed him in a group home, all of her focus was on him.
Were there any times where Corbin acted sexual towards you specifically? You mentioned once where you had just taken a shower and he would watch you after.
Corbin was sitting at the table. I peeked out of the door and I was like, Mom, could you get Corbin to leave the kitchen for a minute? My mom just goes, Corbin, don't look. And she goes, okay, you're clear. So I had forgotten my clothes in my room. I had a towel, so I was covered. I ran from the bathroom to my room and he just watched me. I came out and I'm like, Mom told you not to look. What happened to that instruction? And he goes, I'm sorry. It won't happen again. It happened again multiple times. And then there was one point in time where I'm just like, Corbin, if you don't leave the kitchen, when I get dressed, I'm going to come and do something about it.
You felt his watchful eyes, gazing upon you every time. Do you feel like looking back on that time, and that was the time he started touching you and groping you, right?
Yeah, around, yeah.
Do you think that he was sexually attracted to you?
I just think he wanted to push and see how far and how much he could get away with.
You mentioned before that he threatened to end your life a lot.
Oh yeah, all the time. And it would be something as simple as singing a song or humming to myself, or we'd be in the car and say I was finishing a level on a game that he wanted to play and I didn't give it to him right away, or me and my sisters didn't choose the movie he wanted to watch. It was constant. And then all my mom would be like, Corbin, don't talk like that. You shouldn't say stuff like that.
What are some of the things that he would threaten you with?
Strangling us with the seatbelt, strangling us in general. He threatened us with kitchen knives, more specifically me. He threatened to throw me through a window and use the broken glass to slit my throat. We had these long garden shears that he threatened to cut mine and my sister's throats open with them. He threatened to light me on fire. That was a new one.
Creative.
Threatened to drown me, attempted to drown me. Threatened to use apron strings.
So he basically treated you like an object.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. He would threaten to break our bones or smash our skull in just enough to cause damage but not kill us.
And how are you dealing with that today? Do you have any trauma from any of that?
I have what's called CPTSD. My therapists that I have been seeing have told me it's almost as bad as, if not as bad as, someone who's been in war overseas. Like a prisoner of war kind of scenario.
I have listened to, every part of your story that you shared with me, and I am so happy, so glad that I'm looking at you right now, and your purpose in life is to help others. And I think that you're going to do this by sharing your story. And I'm just so proud, so happy. And I know that you're going to do great things in this world.
I'm going to try next year to get a degree in psychology.
Oh, wow.
And work with teens and young kids and maybe young adults who are going through.
I don't know that her life ever will be normal, but at least she's talking about normalcy in her life and going and pursuing and becoming, and that's always good.
Traumas to what I have.
Anything else in your past that you want to share with my audience?
If you have a sibling or a family member who treats you the way that I was treated, or treats you unjustly to the point where you feel like your life is in danger, no matter what they say or what they do to threaten you, that is more ammo they are giving you to use in a court of law to help yourself. And there are people out there that will help you. I mean, I have my friend, I have my social workers, my mental health care workers. There's people out there. I went to a shelter right out of my family home. I went to a very secure shelter.
Imagine having to leave your actual family's home to go to a shelter. It is a comedy channel. She kind of got thrusted into this. Like, her comedy is basically like she does these live streams where other people randomly join, and then she like hits on them basically, and is like overly flirtatious and sexual about it. Adults, obviously. Nobody under 18, but she kind of got thrust into this because she was making funny content with Jupiter because he's crazy, and then all this other stuff came out while he was being crazy.
What's called a justice center, where basically I filled out reports and got restraining orders.
A lot of the questions I've got is, why did you get a restraining order? What led you to getting a restraining order against Corbin?
Like I said, he's always been very aggressive. He did threaten me with guns. He sent me videos of him using guns. And in that video, it was dark enough that you couldn't tell what type of gun he had. So I just showed it to the judge, and the judge is like, this is weird. We're going to get you a restraining order. And that was the end of that. Basically, I was worried for my own safety and the safety of my friends.
We basically covered mostly everything that's happened with you and Corbin in your past when you lived together. Mm-hmm. Now I want to get into what's happened recently. So I know that you had a restraining order that you filed in the past, let's say 2 or 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you become aware of his social media presence?
My oldest sister, she messaged me, she emailed me, and she goes, hey, I had to change my number. Why the heck did you have to change your number? She goes on to explain that Corbin was using her number to sign up for many, many different social media accounts. She and Scott were getting death threats from angry parents, angry brothers, cousins, uncles. Like, they were like legit getting like a lot of backlash, and neither of them knew what was going on until like officers came and knocked on their doors.
You found me on TikTok, right? And you reached out to me, and we had a conversation, and then in the past few weeks we've talked for hours on the phone. And do you think that Jupiter, aka Corbin, what do you think should happen to him after all you've heard?
I think he should be held accountable. And the two sisters that I've been talking to, they both agree. Quite frankly, right now with everything going on, my birth dad, if he knew where Corbin was, would kill him. And my adopted dad isn't that kind of person. Also, he wouldn't let that kind of person back into his home because we have 24 nieces and nephews who are all minors.
Do you think he should like get locked away in a mental hospital, or what do you think should happen to him?
I honestly do not care what happens to him. Like, they could burn him at the stake and I'd be A-okay with that.
Damn.
Like, not to raise alarm bells on anyone, but just because I feel like the punishment should fit the crime. Like, if they find it where they believe he needs to be on death row, that's where he needs to be. I feel like I've suffered enough, and everybody else has suffered enough with the kind of person that he is, that whatever the law decides to do with him should be what they do with him.
What's sad is it's September 14th, and his victims, his siblings, don't have any justice. He's still out there roaming the streets without Wi-Fi.
As far as we know, without Wi-Fi.
So let's get into it. So basically, he got into a fight with his roommate that he lived with, and his roommate bit him on his chest. And I know some of this information because his ex-roommate.
His roommate bit him? What?
The one that he got into a fight with messaged me. He was removed from his living facility. So his dad came and helped him pack up all his stuff. And I think that by focusing on him being held accountable, we can help future children be safe.
I feel like until like someone actually steps in and does something, nothing's going to change with him. Because I've seen the apology video. Thank you for posting that. What he did during that video and then going back and repeating the same offense is exactly what Junior did to us.
I think, you know, by having this conversation and by putting it online, I think that it will catch people's attention, and hopefully we will see the day where Jupiter gets held accountable for his actions.
I hope so. I really do. And I think that doing it will finally not only give me a sense of peace, but will also have a lot of relief for the other victims of him.
And it'll probably make you feel much, much safer knowing that your nephew's...
This is wild. I can't believe... I don't know. I knew it was going to be bad when we got Jupiter's sister, but damn.
Nieces are safe from him.
Let me just back here a little bit. Growing up, he never was allowed... for some reason, was never allowed to be around the littles by himself. I was kind of his caretaker.
You think?
In regards to whenever we'd have family get-togethers.
The little kid, he was never allowed to be around the little kids by himself.
I was in charge of making sure that none of the littles were hurt.
If Jupiter was left in a room alone with a child, what do you think would happen?
If they were under the age of like 10, if they annoyed him enough, I can almost guarantee that there would be a broken bone or a death of that child. 11 onward, there might be more grooming or something far worse. But if it's older, like 17, 16, 15, they might be able to kick his butt and come out okay, but younger, probably not.
So if a young child was left alone in a room with Jupiter, that child would not walk out the same?
Probably not, if they walked out at all.
Wow, that is a scary thought to have. And it's unfortunate that he could be doing it right now.
Damn.
We don't know about it.
Yeah, it is a very terrifying thought. I mean, that's one of the thoughts that came to my mind before deciding to leave my family was, what if I'm not here and he hurts one of my nieces? What if I'm not here and he kills one of my nephews? What if I'm not here? I could have stopped it. And then I kept having to remind myself that the what ifs aren't a reality until they become a reality.
Okay, let's take a few breaths. It's funny that you said 11 was kind of the barrier between he would either sexually abuse them, or younger than 11, he would break them. It's funny because he said that 11 and above is his preferred age range. It's disgusting that he still thinks this way, and it's disgusting that his mother let him, grow up into the person he is now. She enabled his behavior, and I hope he rots in prison.
Just growing up, I've had all this mentality of everyone else first and then I can be happy. And sometimes that still carries over. So I guess in a way that's saying this is partly that. I'm okay with what happened to me as long as it doesn't happen to someone else.
Kind of the same when you were getting strangled, right? You thought if he goes to jail for this, he won't hurt anybody else.
Yeah, I would be okay with that. And he would have to live with the guilt of knowing he killed one of the very few people who has ever shown him kindness.
That kind of makes me a little emotional because you are such a kind person, and I don't think you deserved any of this happening to you. And I'm glad that, it seems like we're coming to a close of this chapter of your life, because I think that your grief, your anger and your sadness should be justified by him getting what he deserves. And my hope is that by watching this, anybody that's watching this will put pressure on the Nampa Police Department to look into this situation with Corbin, aka Jupiter, if they haven't already. They've had about 3 months to do something, and I haven't heard anything. I've sent emails to multiple Nampa Police email accounts. I sent emails to the chief of staff, no response. If even Jupiter's sister says that she hasn't been in contact with the police, that really sucks, because to me, that sounds like they're not doing anything. And that's unfortunate because, as we said earlier,
the cops have got to move on this, right?
Over and over that he did in the past. So my hope for you guys are to put pressure on the Nampa Police Department, and hopefully we all can get justice for his victims and his sisters.
Maybe there's a piece of evidence that is hidden that someone's not willing to share that should be shared to help.
Is there anything else you want to say to my audience? Any other things that you think they would want to know, or any things you want to leave with them?
There's always going to be those memories. There's always going to be those little things that you're going to continue to look for in people that or that you grew up with. Sometimes those things will not exist anymore. But if you're going through something like I am, my brother's always going to be my brother. I can't change that. My mom is always going to be my mom. It doesn't matter that they're doing bad stuff. Yes, they
It's even scarier now that he lives right in front of elementary school.
should be held accountable for all the bad. But in regards to your relationship with your family, no one can tell you what that relationship is supposed to be. They're always going to be your mom. They're always going to be your dad. They're always going to be part of your family, part of your history. But that doesn't mean that giving them up or telling them that you do not accept their actions and have to spend some years apart like I have, it doesn't change the fact that you can still care about them, and sometimes caring about them means letting them go.
Oh, thank you. I got another private donation. Thank you very much for that through PayPal. Thank you, guys.
That's so powerful, and I can't wait to see where you go from this, getting your psychology degree, writing a book, being an advocate for a lot of people. And I think that starts hopefully right now, where you get your message spread across.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to thank you so much for this amazing conversation we had. And I hope that a lot of people can learn that although Jupiter is now a messed up person, there were things in his childhood that, you know, led to this. He did not have a perfect childhood. You did not have a perfect childhood. You were both sexually abused by your older brother, who is now in prison for doing things with minors. You're moving forward with your life, getting help with the things you need to go through, and being so strong and being able to talk about this with me. I really do appreciate you and your bravery.
You letting me have the opportunity to share that. Well, yes, he is my brother. I don't condone anything that he's doing, and just letting me be able to share a part of my brother, whether it's those good memories of us being stupid kids or the bad ones. I'm just happy that I could share my story with someone.
Yeah, and to everybody watching this is not even 5% of her story. There are things that I've heard that, you know, left my mouth agape. Like there were times when we were talking on the phone and I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. And obviously I want her to feel as comfortable. I wanted her to feel as comfortable as she could during this interview. So we're not going to go deep into these things. But I hope that everybody watching has a deeper understanding of what it was like to grow up with Jupiter. And I hope that you guys learned a lot. And if you're going through any of the things that was mentioned, that you can take this and apply it to your own life. Bye, guys.
Jesus. The full documentary is in progress. I'm excited about the full documentary coming out, hopefully. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty good. I think she's doing a good job so far. And I'm pretty excited about it. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll see soon. That just blew me. I'm speechless. That just blew me away. Make sure you check out that video. Make sure you give it a view. Make sure you leave a comment. Tell her I sent you. Hell, I don't care. Maybe we'll get able to talk to her. I know she's extremely busy right now, but maybe we'll be able to talk to her at some point. I don't know, but that would be nice to be able to talk to her. She seems like she's trying to do her best. She may not be a documentarian, but she seems like she's trying to do her best to get this message out. I think originally she was kind of thrusted into the Jupiter stuff just for like it was getting views, right? But now I think she's doing her best at least to try to push this forward, to get the narrative out, to make people aware, and that's basically the best she can do, right? So, yeah, leave a comment. Make sure you view the video. Let her know that I sent you if you want to. You don't have to. Maybe we can have her on later when she's not as busy, because she isn't even making her regular TikTok content right now because of how much time she's dedicated to all of this. So obviously it's a big deal. Yeah, good job, Linda Benda. She hasn't been putting out a whole lot of content because she's been working on this so much. She just had the teaser video, then this video, but they were pretty good videos. They weren't too bad. Let's go over here, and then this. The hell is this? Even people in Israel know Phil Doe is a liar. Phil, I'm following you for a long time. I live in Israel. Can you please explain what do you mean by the events happening in Israel are not happening in real time? I'm aware of the misspelling, but don't know what to make of it. From where I sit, it seems as real as it can be. Lots of people here lost their loved ones. Innocent little children are being held captive by Hamas right now. Can you imagine how scared and helpless their mothers are? I know you can. I'm here. It's happening now. I'm not trolling. I'm just trying to understand. People calling out Phil because he wants to speak on what's going on in Israel and saying it's not happening in real time. Let's read some of his posts here. Let's see what this one is. Here's I guess a post that he got from one of his fans, Sharon. It says, "Dearest Phil, thank you so much for last night's live. Enjoyed it bigly. I wanted to let you know the effect you are having on my life, particularly your last two shows. You see, you've given me hope, and at this point, I literally had none. Now I have been with Q since October 28th, 2017, been conspiracy investigating since Reagan. So when Q came along, I synced immediately. I could feel the energy of righteous justice in it, the hand of Jesus in it. Make no mistakes. And we invested some in dinar and later on in silver, as you so convincingly persuaded. I guess it was just a perfect storm of weariness, family diagnosed with things, the seeming endlessness of it all. This person's going to be devastated when this all falls through. I was out of energy and hope, but then you said something. I forget what they were, but the life came back lives ago. Then last night you said we didn't have to be poor and we could change that and it was easy. Now few can say they have been through the intense fires you have, although life has spread them out for us. I am grateful for your success and your optimism. I am grateful you found Carrie. Men do not do well on their own. You no doubt have heard this. The happiest people are married men and single women. The unhappiest people are unmarried men and married women. You get the picture. But I'm quite certain Carrie is very happy. They put a space to make the Q stand out there. But just wanted to thank you for all of your effort and kindness, for doing these info shows, for caring as you do. God continue to bless you and keep you, brother of mine. Sincerest and best wishes, Sharon Seaton. I pray we can do what it takes to be better off, and your efforts are helping. Again, thank you, brother. Where we go one, we go all. Sharon Sedine. Let me see if I can find that. Facebook. Duplicate. That's not a very common name. Oh, there's a couple on Facebook. Probably a fucking old lady, and both of these are her accounts. This one only has 2 friends. And one of our friends is just a glamour photo headshot. Yeah, I would say both these are hers. Older people a lot of times get locked out of their Facebook and just make a new account. Like both my mom and dad have multiple accounts. Still, I need to call Facebook and get them shut down. But yeah, they still have multiple accounts. But there's nothing on them really, just profile pictures. That's interesting. That person is going to be devastated when Phil, God. He shares a post from A to Z Angela that says, Baratel, Iraqi people overseas are unable to withdraw funds from their bank cards, either in IQD or USD. This means that the IQD is no longer exchangeable. That means all international transactions for Iraq are at a standstill. This cannot continue for more than a few hours, days at most. Let's fucking go. I'm sure this isn't true. I'm 100% sure this isn't. 100% sure this isn't true. But this is the dinar reevaluation. I know that Iraq has limited some withdrawals at one part. This was a while back though, wasn't it? Back in maybe the end of September or something. Here's what it says. People who deposit dollars in banks before the end of 2023 will still be able to withdraw the funds in dollars in 2024, US dollars. Mr. Ahmed said, but dollars deposited in 2024 will only be able to be withdrawn in local currency at the official rate. They're trying to, the dollar's kind of fucking with their local currency. And no one wants their local currency because they feel like there's less trust in it than there is the US dollar, which goes against everything Phil says, that the fiat dollar is worthless and no one trusts it. But Iraq has been doing a big push to get the US dollar out of their country, not because they don't want to use the petrodollar or because they don't want to trade in US dollars. It's just they can't, their currency is in the tank and they can't get it back up at all. Let's see what else we got. Someone reach out to her and get her help. Who knows? There's no way to reach out to her. I mean, her Facebook page is there. Her last name is Sedeen. Sharon Sedeen. That's not a very common name, I wouldn't think. So he shares this that says a map of registered sex offenders living in Israel from Reddit. I don't even know if this is a true post. I have to look this up. Hold on. It's on iFunny Brazil. I can already tell that it's fucked by the scale it's at. So I'll show it to you. Hold on. So this is what Phil's sharing, which looks like overwhelming, right? But like each one of these circles is like the size of a major fucking city in Israel, right? So the scale's really fucked. Like if we pulled up the whole U.S. And did every sex offender, if this is even real, if we did every sex offender in the U.S., it would look a lot worse than this. Like, look how gigantic the circles are. So, like, there's probably tens, if not hundreds of miles between some of these circles that look right next to each other. So Phil says, what is a false flag? An event to direct you. Oh, this is from Guardian Monkey. He forwarded it. Says, what is a false flag? An event to direct you to observing such planned event. Look here, not there. What do they not want us to see? What are they hiding? Why did Putin go into Ukraine? Why did Xi go into Taiwan? Why are we seeing the start of World War III? Ukraine, Taiwan, Israel, the three biggest trafficking biolabs and corruption hubs of the cabal. Israel's last. You're watching a movie. Israel's last. You're watching a movie is supposed to be what's going on. Here's just a map of registered sex offenders in San Antonio, and look how crazy it looks. Now, if you zoomed in on that, San Antonio, that's just one city in the U.S., and it basically looks worse than the whole map of Israel. You know what I'm saying? But they're claiming that Taiwan, Ukraine, and Israel are the centers for the cabal's hub for evil doery, and that it's not a great situation. So let's talk about it. So we all know about the Gaza Strip. We all know about Palestine. There had been basically an uneasy kind of peace there in the Gaza Strip that is occupied by the people who claim that they are the Palestinians, even though that's not like a recognized country or whatever, right? It's part of Israel. So there's been this uneasy peace, but there's also this group of Hamas that's there that is a terrorist group that believe that they should take over all of Israel. In the past little bit, so there's these news articles like, oh my God, someone told Hamas how to bypass the Iron Dome. And they had to get it from Iran, and Iran had to get it from Russia, and Russia got it from where? They didn't really, it's not like a secret that they passed through the Iron Dome. They overloaded it. This has always been a known fault. Like, let's say the U.S. gets attacked by rockets. Basically, the U.S. is set with, what's it called? Incremental circumference. So basically, if the threat of the U.S. is like way out over the ocean, we may only have a couple things that can hit it. Aircraft, maybe some ships on station, blah, blah, blah. But the closer you get to the like D.C. or L.A. or a major city, we have more and more and more things that'll engage it. Okay, the Iron Dome and Israel's built the same way. So near the border, there are things that can engage there, but the closer you get to like central cities and the capital and stuff, there's more and more things that can engage it. No system, including the U.S. system, can handle unlimited rockets or unlimited mortars or unlimited whatever, right? Eventually, there's a limit. So what they did was they fired like 5,000 fucking rockets within like a couple hours. It was... I would be more interested to see who helped them stockpile all of this, and who sold them this gigantic stockpile. But it's always been known that you can overload a system. You can have the best anti-missile defense system in the world, but he can only take so many targets in such a short amount of time. If you fire 10,000 or 1,000,000, it's gonna miss some. So it protects the most essential areas, and it hands off targets. So like this piece will attack that piece, will attack this rocket, will attack that. It hands off, and they take all they can to reduce casualties, but you can overwhelm the system. So if 5,000 rockets are shot and we take down, 4,200, some of them are going to get through. They just overwhelm the system, right? But what Hamas does is not exactly play fair. So they've released videos of them beheading Israeli citizens. They've released videos of them claiming they've captured over 200 Israeli women that they are going to use as human shields. They marched them down, some of them as young as like 10, 11 years old. They marched them through the streets. They look like they have been badly beaten. And Israel's now claiming that, look, we gave it a chance. We did what we could, but we are going to radically change Gaza and leave a mark on it for the next 50 years. It sounds like Israel's done fucking around, and Israel's not exactly a country that you want to fuck with. This has also stirred up sentiment within the mainland. So there's like a woman in the capital that just started stabbing people. A Palestinian woman just started stabbing people because she saw the other attacks going on. They're basically lobbing missiles back and forth. It's not that, actually, let's do this. I know who will give us a good, let's go to Habitual Line Crosser. I bet you he's talked about it. About the missile defense system. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on there, obviously. They can only intercept so many targets. It's not great, and it seems like Israel's going to retaliate pretty fucking heavy-handed. We've actually even approved moving one of our carrier groups off the coast of Israel to let them know that we have our support. Biden has told Israel they have 100% our support against Hamas. Hamas is going to try to team up with Russia and Iran, and by proxy Russia. So take it for what it is so far. It's not great. I hate that there's innocent civilians involved, I guess. Like, if you're a soldier and you're a fucking terrorist and that's what y'all are doing and fighting a war, that's one thing. But I hate that there's so many innocent people on both sides involved.
All right, the question of the day is, what is better at shooting things down, Patriot or Iron Dome? And the answer is, it depends on what they're shooting. So every air defense system in the world designed by every single country has its own things that it...
Yeah, they didn't allow it. They didn't allow it to happen. This is a gigantic rocket attack. Like, they couldn't have shut them down if they wanted to.
Is good and that it is bad at. For example, Iron Dome excels at like short-range rockets, artillery, and certain low-range ballistic missiles. Patriot, on the other hand, doesn't mess with artillery. It's short-range rockets, low, medium, and long-range ballistic missiles. Not to confuse a long-range ballistic missile with a intercontinental ballistic missile. Those are two very different things. Every good way to defend something should be a layered air defense. Now, layered air defense is comparable to defense in depth. Now, the definition of defense in depth means that as that enemy is getting closer to you, they are hitting increased numbers of fires. More
That's right, Dr.
guns
J.
are pointed at them the closer they get. Israel has one of the best layered air defenses in the world, aside from the United States, Poland, and Germany. I mean, all of them are pretty comparable in their own way. So if you got 50 things coming at you, this system takes 10, this one takes 12, this one takes 15, and you just eliminate as much as you can to keep yourself alive. So that's what we're seeing in Israel right now, is a complete...
So when they're overwhelmed, the systems hand off engagements and they take down as many as they can, but they know that some of them are going to hit. Like, you just can't, like, if we build a system to handle 1,000,000 rockets fired at once, well, what if they fire 1,020,000? If we build a system to, take 2 million rockets at once, what if they fire 2,043,000? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can only go so far and engage so many, and you're gauging how many you think will be coming at you at once, realistically.
Complete overwhelming saturation of their air defense systems. They just can't keep up with the amount of things that are being thrown at them. Now, keep in mind, if you're throwing that much stuff, it's going to be a finite resource. Eventually, you will not be able to throw any more at them because you just...
That's what I think is probably going to happen. Israel's going to retaliate, of course, but they fired so many rockets at once or in a short span of time, there's no way they have that many to go again. I think the Iron Dome will be pretty successful in the future as long as they, reload it, keep it maintained. None of the stations were taken out. I think it'll be pretty successful in the future because they're not going to have every time they attack, they're not going to have 5,000 fucking rockets to shoot.
Just don't have anymore. Now, this isn't really a one-off. The United States does saturation attacks when we decide to go fisticuffs with somebody. We did it in 2003 against Saddam. Saddam had actually really good air defense systems. He had a bunch of Russian systems, and they were bodied because Uncle Sam can put thousands of munitions in the air at any given time in the same exact direction and have them hit.
It's called saturation. Like, we know they have anti-aircraft or anti-air defense or whatever. So we know that they can handle maybe 1,000 incoming targets, so we send 2,000.
Almost simultaneously. Anyone who's ever worked air traffic control can tell you that combat airspace deconfliction is a nightmare because you have friendly jets going out, you have friendly jets coming back, you have friendly missiles going out, you have friendly rockets going out, you have friendly artillery going out, and then of course you have to clear zones in case the enemy decides to counterattack, and now you're trying to smoke their thing, so you got to clear those missiles and then make sure that your aircraft can, defensive counter air against the enemy air attack. Like, it's a complete nightmare. All right, the question of the day is, what is better at shooting things down, Patriot or Iron Dome? And the answer is, it depends.
The Iron Dome system can engage drones. I believe back in like 2020, it shot down a drone, or 2021 somewhere, it shot down a drone. There was like a little spat for like 11 or 12 days, and it shot down a drone. It can engage drones. Although it's not intended to engage drones, it can engage drones if they pick them up. If they pick up a drone, which a drone carrying a substantial explosive has to be big enough to carry that explosive, plus the size of the explosive. So they see it can take it down. It's just been an overwhelming, kind of like everything had been calm for a little bit, or as calm as it can be there, and then out of nowhere, everything all at once unleashed. And that's caused quite a stir. Israel has formally declared war on Hamas, setting the stage for a major military operation. Israel also, the Benjamin Netanyahu and their, whatever they call their electrical system, has signed an order to cut off power there as well. Setting the stage for a major military operation in Gaza as fighting continues to rage on Israeli soil. Tanks and personnel carriers can be seen on the move near the Israel-Gaza border on Sunday after Hamas, an Islamist militant group, launched an unprecedented and highly coordinated surprise assault this weekend that so far has killed over 700 Israelis. Saturday was the deadliest day in decades for Israel. So, like, this is more than, like, ever. Saturday was the deadliest day in decades for Israel and came after months of surging violence between Palestinians and Israelis, with the long-running conflict now heading into uncharted and dangerous new territories. Questions remain on how Israeli military and intelligence apparatus appeared to be caught off guard in one of the country's worst security failures. Hamas claims to be holding over 100 Israeli hostages, including high-ranking officers, and continued to fire rockets into Israel throughout Sunday. Another Palestinian armed group called Islamic Jihad said on Sunday it was holding at least 30 hostages in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed retaliation, warning his country would take mighty vengeance, and was readying for a long and difficult war. He urged Palestinians living in Gaza to leave now. Over 400 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza as Israel responds with airstrikes in the highly densely inhabited enclave. Early Saturday morning, militants from Gaza fired a deadly barrage of rockets and sent gunmen into into southern Israeli territory in one of the deadliest days and decades between two sides. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed mighty vengeance on Hamas, and Israeli forces are battling militants in southern Israel and have been pounding Gaza with airstrikes. Throughout the bloody weekend, Hamas launched thousands of rockets from the Gaza Strip into Israel, making direct hits on multiple locations inside the country, including Tel Aviv, while armed terror groups entered Israel and infiltrated military bases, towns, and farms, shooting at civilians and taking hostages. Photos released by the Israeli foreign minister showed dozens of bodies in the aftermath of Hamas attack on a music festival near the Israeli-Gaza border, which emergency responders said left at least 260 dead. That is just that music festival. I think that was probably one of their primary targets, because just that music festival is a quarter of all the fucking people that are dead. Just the gunmen at the music festival. Israeli forces clashed on the ground with Hamas fighters. It's a third, almost a third of all the dead. Israeli forces clashed on the ground with Hamas fighters. Israeli airstrikes blasted what it said were Hamas-associated locations. Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF, said it had struck over 400 targets in a small enclave, including 10 towers that it said were used by Hamas and a number of terrorist squads in the area surrounding the Gaza Strip. Palestinian authorities say 78 children were among the dead and 2,300 others are wounded. According to Netanyahu, Israel's first phase of retaliation has ended. It's so hard to fight Hamas without having civilian casualties. And I know civilian casualties suck, but they literally encircle and entrench themselves with civilian bodies as shields. I don't know what to do. According to Netanyahu, Israel's first phase of retaliation has ended with the destruction of the majority of the enemy forces that penetrated our territory. It would be followed by an offensive formation, he said. His government has decided to stop the supply of electricity, fuel, and goods to Gaza for now. Hamas has warned against measures in Gaza, alluding to hostages held in the area. In a recorded audio message Saturday, Abu Bada, spokesman for the Al-Qassam brigades, the armed wing of Hamas, it's Al-Qassam, I think so. What you say it? The armed wing of Hamas said, "What happens to the people of the Gaza Strip will happen to them, and beware of miscalculation." Civilians taken hostage include not only, also you got to be really bad about propaganda. They've killed their own people or used old pictures and shit. Hamas is really bad about propaganda the same way that Russia is really bad about propaganda. Civilians taken hostage include not only soldiers, but civilians, children, grandmothers. Israeli Defense Forces spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Richard Hecht told a briefing on Sunday, "We have lost soldiers, we have lost commanders, we have lost a lot of civilians. It has been more than 17 years since an Israeli soldier was taken as a prisoner of war in an assault on Israeli territory. And Israel has not seen this kind of infiltration of military bases, towns, and kibbutzim since town-by-town fighting in the 1948 War of Independence." On Sunday, Hecht, it's hard to say his name, is C-H-T, Hecht. The IDF spokesman said Israeli forces had neutralized most of the significant battles that took place in the settlement of Otef. But there are still ongoing operations in numerous other parts of the country. The IDF's goal for the next 12 hours is to end the Gaza enclave and kill all the terrorists in our territory, he said. The IDF is evacuating more than 20 communities adjacent to the Gaza security fence and searching the area for any Hamas militants left. It's also seeking to control breaches in the fence. Asked by a journalist about the intelligence failure that had allowed such a large-scale attack to occur, Hecht said, "That's not a question for now. I'm sure that would be a big discussion down the road." The highly coordinated assault, which began Saturday morning, was unprecedented in the scale and scope and came on the 50th anniversary of the 1973 war in which Arab states blitzed Israel on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish calendar. "We had no warning of any kind, and it was a total surprise that the war broke out this morning." Ephraim Halevi, the former head of Mossad, Israel's intelligence service, told CNN. The number of rockets fired by Palestinian militants was at a scale never seen before, Halevi said. And this was the first time that the Gaza has been able to penetrate deep into Israel and take control of villages the way they have. They overwhelmed our systems. It is rare for Palestinian militants to be able to make it into Israel from Gaza, which is sealed off and heavily watched by Israeli military. Gaza is one of the most densely packed places in the world, an isolated coastal enclave of almost 2 million people crammed into 140 square miles. Governed by Hamas, the territory is largely cut off from the rest of the world by an Israeli blockade of Gaza's land, air, and sea, dating back to 2007. Egypt controls Gaza's southern border crossing. Rafah, Israel has placed heavy restrictions on the freedom of civilian movement and controls the importation of basic goods in the narrow coastal strip. Fighting between the two sides has surged in the past 2 years. The violence has been driven by frequent Israeli military raids in Palestinian towns and cities, which Israel has said are a necessary response to a rising number of attacks by Palestinian militants on Israelis. They also came at the moment of deep division in Israel, months after the country's right-wing government pushed through a contentious plan to reduce the power of the country's courts, sparking a social, political, and military crisis. Western states condemned the Hamas attack on Saturday and pledged support for Israel, while Arab states, including those that have recognized Israel, called for calm and peace. United States President Joe Biden spoke to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Saturday and said that Washington unequivocally condemns this appalling assault against Israel by Hamas terrorists from Gaza. Saudi Arabia, which is holding talks with the U.S. to potentially normalize relations with Israel, said it is following closely the unprecedented situation and called on both sides to immediately stop the escalation, according to a statement by the Saudi foreign minister on Twitter. Israelis are sharing photos of friends and family who they say have been kidnapped by Hamas militants. Many of them are women and children. One Israeli mother told CNN she had been on the phone with her children, aged 16 and 12, who were home alone when they heard gunshots outside and people trying to enter. They were scared to death. I can't even imagine what they felt. And I wasn't there to help, said the mother, who was away from the home at the time. CNN is not identifying the mother and her children for safety reasons. Then, over the phone, she heard the door break down. I heard terrorists speaking Arabic to my teenagers, and the youngest saying that to them, I'm too young to go, the mother said. And the phone went off, and the line went off. And that was the last time I heard from them. How that's terrible. Another Israeli resident, Yoni Asher, told CNN his wife, who was visiting near the Gaza border with their young daughters, was among those abducted. On Saturday, he tracked her phone and saw it was located in Gaza. Later that day, he said he recognized her in a viral clip of people loaded in the back of a truck flanked by Hamas militants. Several people were taken hostage in an attack by Hamas militants on an Israeli music festival near the Israeli-Gaza border. One video on social media showed an Israeli woman being kidnapped, hoisted onto the back of a motorcycle, and driven away as her boyfriend was apprehended. Another clip pictured a German-Israeli woman who was taken from the festival being paraded around Gaza, unconscious and motionless. An Israeli police spokesperson has told CNN that family members who wish to report their loved ones as missing to come to the nearest police station when it is safe to leave their homes. The police suggested relatives bring photos and personal items from which DNA samples can be extracted to help with later identification. CNN's Mohammed Taufik, this is just who wrote on this. That's awful, dude. Hold on. Here is some different footage from YouTube. It's on YouTube, so hopefully it doesn't have anything crazy in it. But Israeli terror as Hamas fires gun in the crowd, kidnaps Israeli festival goers. Oh yeah, Phil over here saying it's not fucking real. Like, he's crazy. So what Phil said, I didn't get to his post yet, but he shared that post that I already read. And then he said, the events in Israel are not happening in real time. They happened a while back. And he misspelled a while back. We were saving Israel for last. It has now begun. But he's got fans that are just good people live in Israel. Like, they're not part of the cabal and their families are suffering. Crazy. This is the music festival. The music rave near whatever this town is, close to the Gaza Strip. With paragliders flying above the crowd. That's crazy, dude. Anything. Just anything they can think of that won't be shot down or attacked or seen or whatever. They came in with paragliders.
Hamas terrorists infiltrated Israel from multiple points at the exact same time. They flew in from the air, they came in from the sea, and they came through the border fence with one goal.
They're using speedboats to get in from the sea and other area, like the sea and shit like that. Speedboats are a wild thing. So jet skis and speedboats can be acquired relatively cheap when we're talking about like military hardware. And if you have enough of them and explosives on them, you could swarm like an aircraft, like a U.S. aircraft carrier. You know what I'm saying? Like enough small things with explosives, and then the explosives placed in a right spot to cause a big ass hole in a ship, puts it out of commission. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's a big deal. That the U.S. has been in tons of money researching how to deal with light watercrafts that terrorists might just buy a couple hundred of them. Can you engage them all at once? Plus, they're quick. They run up on you. They're hard to spot because they're small.
Which was to attack Israeli civilians, which unfortunately they found going about their lives. We've seen the images. There were a group of youngsters at a party yesterday. It was a festival outside. They were relaxing and enjoying themselves when all of a sudden terrorists surrounded all of them and began shooting. And as they ran away, the terrorists ambushed them. And we saw the images of women being taken back to Gaza.
There's the woman being kidnapped on the motorbike.
Held by two jihadi terrorists on motorcycles being back to Gaza. We see the image.
God, this is a good time to point out. Never, ever, ever, ever go to a second location. Nothing good ever happened. If you're ever confronted by someone and they mean to cause you harm, and you think, if I just play along, I won't get hurt, and they're trying to stuff you into a car, on a motorcycle, in the back of a van, go somewhere, nothing good ever happens at a second location. Do you hear me? Fight to the death at the first location before going to a second location. To the death. It's better than being fucking raped to death and dismembered somewhere else where no one even knows where the fuck you are, okay? At least someone might see you at the first location. Maybe it's a semi-public place. Maybe you still have your cell phone. Maybe fight to the death rather than going willingly somewhere else. I know we hear stories about like, oh, well, I survived with my captor for 13 days, then escaped. That doesn't happen very often. The reason we hear those stories is because it's an anomaly. Most people are killed at the second location or worse.
Images of bodies along the ground, and these are children whose parents, as I'm speaking to you, are bringing DNA samples to the Central Israel Station to see the lives, if their children are still alive.
Not great. Here's something from, let's see, this is Task and Purpose. Let's see what this is before we go to Task and Purpose.
Welcome to USS Global. The world has recently turned its attention to the Ukraine-Russia war, as well as the Middle East. Today, very striking developments are taking place in Israel, Ukraine's ally. After Iranian-backed groups attacked Israeli towns, the Israeli army took immediate action. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu declared war today against Israel's operations with very striking details. Yesterday, Iran-backed Hamas militants launched a heavy missile attack on Israeli cities. Hamas militant groups fired a total of 5,000 missiles and launched raids on small Israeli towns and settlements near Gaza.
Missiles.
More than 5,000 rockets and mortars were fired from the Gaza Strip in about 20 minutes, hitting targets in various parts of Israel.
In 20 minutes, 5,000. There's not many missile systems that could keep up with that. 5,000 missiles in 20 minutes.
Including civilian settlements. The Israeli air defense system Iron Dome destroyed some of the rockets launched from Gaza, and explosions were heard in the sky. After Hamas militants fired ammunition, the Israeli army declared a state of war alert. Attack warning sirens were heard throughout Israel. According to the Washington Post, at least 40 Israelis have been killed, and at least 740.
I'm pretty sure the U.S. has committed a carrier strike group. It was probably close, like the Mediterranean or somewhere. They put a carrier strike group off the coast of Israel.
Wounded so far. According to the Israel Defense Forces Telegram channel, airstrike warnings were still being heard on Saturday as of 5 p.m. Tel Aviv time. New videos emerging on social media showed...
Yeah, it is the Gerald Ford. Austin said Sunday afternoon that he had directed the USS Gerald Ford carrier strike group to go to the eastern Mediterranean and set off the coast of Israel. The group includes the carrier, a Ticonderoga class guided missile cruiser, and 4 Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyers. We've also taken steps to augment U.S. Air Force F-35, F-15, F-16, and A-10 fighter aircraft squadrons in the region, he said. In addition, the United States government will be rapidly providing the Israeli Defense Force with additional equipment and resources, including munitions. The first security assistance will be moving today and arriving in the coming days.
Attacks, including strikes on Tel Aviv. It also revealed a multi-domain operation in which Hamas militants...
They are in a how to get... Oh. Hey, I hope their family's okay, but kind of lucked out there. They're in Ohio right now.
over the border, paragliding and attacking from the water. Such
Paragliding is just crazy. Like no one's looking on radar for a paraglider. You know
coordinated
what I mean?
and complex attacks would probably have been impossible without Iranian training or logistical support. Iran's Quds Force provides Hamas with weapons and training. After all these attacks and acts of terror, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Israel was at war and that retaliatory strikes had already begun. Israeli President Herzog stated that the Israeli army and people are going through a difficult time. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel's revenge for this Black Day will be great. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that they are at war and they will win. Netanyahu intimidated Hamas militants, saying that Hamas forces would pay a price in a way they could never imagine. Following these statements, the Israeli Security Cabinet voted to enact Article 40 Aleph, which amounts to a formal declaration of war. According to this article, the Israeli army has the right to act at its own discretion, but to communicate with the top leadership. The last time such a decision was made was exactly 50 years ago in 1973, during the Yom Kippur War. Following Netanyahu's announcement, the Israeli army carried out several airstrikes against Hamas targets in the Gaza Strip. Following this decision, Israel announced.
By the way, I don't know if you guys understand what's going on, but so this is all of Israel. We have Egypt down here, Jordan, Saudi Arabia down to the bottom, Syria, and Lebanon. The Gaza Strip is just this little area right here. That's it. Just this little bitty area. And that's where Hamas controls and all those people live. It's a very densely populated area.
The start of Operation Iron Sword. As part of this operation, Israeli forces surrounded Gaza from all sides. Israeli ground forces are encircling Gaza from the north, east, and west. On the other hand, the Israeli Air Force carried out direct sorties with F-16 jets against Hamas formations in the city. The Israeli army announced that they hit 17 military compounds and 4 operation centers belonging to Hamas in the Gaza Strip.
They claim they blew up the Hamas leader's home as well.
In a statement released by the Israeli army spokesperson's office.
Yeah, that's what I said. I hope his family's okay, but good thing that that was good luck that he was in Ohio, or he or she or whoever.
On social media, the army said that it has a war command over the Gaza division, including support from combat helicopters, and that it has established dominance over the area. The Israeli airstrikes targeted tunnels with access to the border between Gaza and Israel. Launchers and fighter jets used in the morning airstrikes by Hamas forces. The Israeli
That's another thing they have is tons of these tunnels that pop up inside houses or chicken coops or what. Like they have these tunnels that they can travel through because the border's so locked down.
Defense forces have carried out hundreds of strikes on such targets. As a result of the Israeli Defense Forces
paragliders is
a large
wild.
number of Hamas forces were neutralized. The Israeli Army spokesperson's office said that the main objective was to eliminate all armed forces in Gaza that had infiltrated into Israel and then tried to return to the Gaza Strip. The Army spokesperson's office said that the Israeli Army's strategy in this war is first to weaken the attacking force in Gaza with air fire. And
it was definitely well planned and had some logistical planning behind it that we typically don't see out of Hamas. Could that mean that Iran's involved? Maybe. Are they going to say they're involved? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? They're going to deny.
October 7th, 2023, Hamas militants launched a massive surprise attack from
That's
the Gaza
crazy
Strip.
right there. That paraglider is just crazy. I don't know. I just wouldn't have thought of it. But I wouldn't have thought of cardboard fucking airplane drones either that they were using going into Russia from Ukraine.
Deep into Israeli territory. Israel then retaliated with a series of airstrikes inside Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu declared that Israel is officially at war with Hamas. He then gave orders to his security forces to retake any Israeli villages that have Hamas militants in them. Hamas military commander Mohammed Deif said, quote, "This is the day of the greatest battle to end the last occupation on earth," end quote. So according to Hamas, this is only the beginning of a very long battle that they've been planning for. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is an incredibly sensitive and complex battle to cover. So I want to be upfront with you and let you know that I'm going to do my best to be as unbiased as possible and to focus on the ground.
Yeah, the $6 billion is still sitting unspent. They almost immediately addressed that because they figured that most people would be like, oh, we gave them $6 billion and they used that to fund paragliders and terrorists. It came out almost immediately. Secretary of State and Anthony Blinken said Sunday the $6 billion in Iranian funds expected to be unfrozen and the U.S. prisoner swap with Iran have remained unspent, pushing back against suggestions that Biden administration deals may have contributed to Hamas' recent attack on Israel. The facts are these. No U.S. taxpayer dollars were involved, Blinken said on CNN's State of the Union. These were Iranian resources that Iran had accumulated from the sale of its oil and that were stuck in a bank in South Korea. They have had from day one under our law, under our sanctions, the right to use these monies for humanitarian purposes from one account to another in another country to facilitate that use. Blinken has continued. As of now, not a single dollar has been spent from that account. We do monitor it. Blinken's comments follow Palestinian militant group Hamas onslaught of attacks against Israel Saturday that left hundreds of people dead and thousands of others wounded.
Ground war itself. What I'm not going to do is try to litigate the entire history of grievances between Israel and Palestine, which is an important aspect to the conflict, but it's beyond the scope of this video, and you can easily find that information elsewhere. We hear about skirmishes between Israel and Palestine frequently over the past few years, but what's different about this attack is its level of sophistication.
So this is the type of war that I fought in, right? Iraq and Afghanistan are like this, right? Terrorist cells mixed among just people just trying to fucking live. It's a very hard war to fight. I thought we were gearing up for a more traditional war with just the way like Russia, Ukraine, and that shit. But who knows? Who really knows? But these terrorist cells that are interspersed with innocent civilians, it's a pretty hard war to fight.
And coordination, because prior to this attack, Hamas had used very different tactics focusing on mortars, kamikaze bombings, rocket attacks, and small arms ambushes against Israeli defense forces. This is a major departure from the old strategy of harassing attacks. Hamas militants attacked via flying in by paragliding.
And to be fair, Israel does regularly go in and like do these raids and like pull people out that have weapons, munitions, stuff like that. And that pisses off Hamas, but what are they supposed to do? Like not do that? You know what I mean? They're stockpiling weapons. If they've got intel and have mistakes been made, sure. Civilians have been killed on both sides, some intentionally, clearly from Hamas, and some accidentally. But that doesn't mean that they can just do this. You know what I'm saying?
Glider infiltrating from the Mediterranean Sea on boats and tearing down barriers to move over land. So what we're going to do is analyze the situation on the ground using open source intelligence
This is
tools.
from Task and
At the
Purpose.
end, we'll talk about the potential reasons for why
Task
this
and
might be
Purpose is
happening right
pretty
now,
reliable channel.
according to both sides. Take a look at this live conflict map here. It shows us geotagged evidence of what's happening on the ground in real time, linked to GPS coordinates. This Israeli checkpoint appears to have been overrun about 10 kilometers away from the 1950 Armistice Agreement line at the Gaza Strip. The extent of the militants' advance appears to be about 20 kilometers away from the border. So these roads here that we can see leading out of Gaza are protected by checkpoints. Video evidence shows right outside Gaza, this outpost was breached by Palestinian militants. Here we see militants captured an Amer heavy armored personnel carrier, and it's fitted with an expensive high-tech trophy active protection system that shoots down incoming RPGs. There also looks to be a Merkava Mark IV main battle tank left behind. Each of those systems costs about $6 million. Now, Israel has an estimated 220 Namer IFVs and 400 Merkava tanks according to open source intelligence, so the loss of a dozen armored vehicles won't be a strategic level loss. But from Hamas's point of view, it's a major PR victory that they can parade these armored vehicles around Gaza now. Satellite mode on the live conflict map shows us a geography of the terrain located just outside the Gaza Strip, inside Israel where the fighting is largely taking place. This area is flat, open fields and farmland that stretches until some major cities and built-up areas. Further to the south is the desert arid region. Israel had relied on fences and barbed wire as protection and defenses here. They possibly didn't expect an organized attack pre-planned to destroy these obstacles. The southern
I think that's most of it. They haven't seen an organized attack to this scale, and they were banking on smaller, broken up contingents of people that they could handle or repel, and they kind of got lulled into a sense of security. Let their guard down.
The southern region of Israel is one of 6 different regions in the country. Its population in the southern region is about 79% Jewish and 12.7% Arab and Muslim. The population of the southern district is just over 1 million people, and its area is 14,185 square kilometers. It's the largest district in terms of land area, but the most sparsely populated. It covers most of the Negev desert as well as the Araba Valley. Looking at these Israeli outposts that are being overrun and attacked, they remind me of the outposts I lived on when I was in Iraq. We're talking about small combat outposts with likely 2 squads of 20 soldiers or platoon of 40 soldiers rotating through the outpost. The way it works is 40 soldiers are on duty, manning guard towers, doing patrols, while the other 40 are off duty from the rotation, possibly back at a larger base. Obviously, not many troops here protecting these areas. The base is probably about the size of a football field or two, and its main defense is that it's surrounded by slabs of concrete walls that are 12 feet high and several inches thick, so they're rated to stop small arms and RPGs. This type of outpost has a major weakness, though, its entrance gate, where the concrete stops and opens up. An outpost like this would have between 4 and 8 armored vehicles likely stationed here. Gun battles are raging here, where the IDF...
I've stayed on small outposts like that for a long time. It makes you feel vulnerable when you got like 40 people, a couple people's equipment, a mortar pit or two, and a couple guard towers.
Is pouring in to try to reclaim these outposts. Checkpoints will be located strategically along the roads leading out of Gaza here. Each are equipped well enough to slow down a major offensive, but they're not really designed to stop an overwhelming force, and clearly they were caught by surprise. Outposts and checkpoints along the roads slowed down Hamas and gave Israel time to coordinate a larger retaliation attack, but Hamas still reached several major towns with populations of around 30,000 people. You can see here in the live conflict map that all of the orange tags inside of Gaza Strip that you're looking at here are Israeli retaliatory strikes, including artillery and air sorties.
So the red is Hamas stuff. Like here's a rocket. This one's gunfire. That one looks like an RPG. Gunfire. This is a speakerphone, so maybe some type of announcement. A rocket, and then the orange are retaliation attacks.
Some of the icons show helicopters, which tells us that Israel's AH-64 Apache attack helicopter is going to work on targets inside.
2 Apaches were also shot at and hit during this counteroffensive, but they were able to return. They weren't like taken down or nothing. They were able to fly back to seek maintenance, but 2 of them were shot with small arms fire.
Gaza with the AGM-114 Hellfire missiles or Hydra rockets. Israel has a total of 81 attack helicopters of different varieties. Dozens of Israeli Air Force fighter jets struck Hamas targets inside the Gaza Strip.
By the way, when we're comparing Israel's number of things to like U.S. number of things, it sounds extremely low. And I'm not saying they have a ton of these things, but it's also way smaller. Dr. J Banana with a $10 tip.
Dr.
Thank
J
you.
Banana tip $10.
Just because growing heart.
Just because growing heart.
Just because she's growing hard. Thank you for growing hard, Dr. J. I appreciate it. And thank you for the donation. You keep growing hard.
Strip on October 7th. According to the
Thanks,
Israeli Air Force, 17 Hamas military compounds and 4 command headquarters of Hamas throughout the Gaza Strip were struck on October 7th. Israel operates the American-made F-15, F-16,
I'm growing hard just thinking about
Mirage
donations.
2000 bomber with an inventory of about 580 combat aircraft in total. Hamas reportedly struck 4 Israeli helicopters with surface-to-air missiles.
They have about 600 combat aircraft for that. And that's just, Israel's not a gigantic country.
So far, likely with the Russian-made handheld 9K-38 Igla. Part of the reason this attack is concerning for Israel is because preliminary reports indicate that Hamas struck deep enough to force Israel to evacuate one of their air bases near the Gaza Strip. According to this video evidence that we see here, jets are being moved to safety. Reports on the ground claim Hamas gunmen are opening fire on any Israeli cars that pass by in the town of Sderot. The fighting is happening in Sderot at the police station here. This city has a population of about 30,000 people, and it's located less than 1 mile from the Gaza Strip. Israel spent over $150 million on bomb shelters.
Israel is about the size of New Jersey, and Gaza is about the size of 2 Washington, D.C.s. If you want to know the size comparison. Israel's about the size of New Jersey, and then Gaza is about the size of 2 Washington, D.C.s.
Shelters here due to the fact that over 8,000 rockets have been fired at them since 2001. Footage on social media show firefights raging inside the city, and Hamas gunmen appear to be patrolling the countryside here at this point in time. I've gone through and watched all of the videos that have been posted online, and there's a lot I'm not going to show you here, and it's the kind of things you probably wouldn't want to see anyway. It's absolutely awful what's unfolding right now to the people who live here. The live conflict map shows us how Hamas used a homemade 114mm short-range Rajam missile system in their offensive against Israel, which is a kind of rocket artillery meant to saturate an area. This is a tool that helped Hamas fire
Again, saturation attacks, overwhelming the defenses.
5,000 rockets so quickly into Israel. There's usually only a 15-second warning from Israel's air defense system and alarm system when the rockets are first fired. Even though these aren't large munitions, the sheer volume of fire is designed to overwhelm Israel's air defense system attempting to shoot down these rockets. The rocket attacks have reached into Israel's capital city of Tel Aviv. This live update shows internet activity has gone down inside the capital from the attacks. Israel has 170,000 active duty personnel, but they also have 465,000 reserve forces to pull from because service is mandatory in Israel, and according to their military, they're prepared to mobilize hundreds of thousands of reservists now in response to these attacks. Israel has conscription, and it's considered kind of a rite of passage for them. You might wonder why there isn't a long trench along the entire region here. The reason the defenses are set up as spread out checkpoints along the roads, instead of one long trench or one single front line, is partly because it would be extremely expensive and taxing on the Israeli army to man that fortification with thousands of soldiers year-round if it was a clear front line that extended and stretched for 70 kilometers long around the entire Gaza Strip. So instead, troops are spread out to defend major population centers, and some of these places appear to have been overrun. Whether that's briefly or not yet, we don't know. DefenseBlog.com reported at least 5 Israeli Merkava tanks have been captured, and 15 of Israel's tracked vehicles, like the M113s, are in Palestinian fighters' hands. The larger tanks probably aren't going to be as useful to Hamas because they likely wouldn't be able to maintain them or rearm them effectively for a long period of time, but the smaller armored vehicles would be an important asset for them. Militants fired an estimated 5,000 rockets into Israel so far during their offensive operation.
In 20
Israel is
minutes.
facing between 25,000 and 40,000 militant fighters in this offensive. Now you might say that's nothing compared to Israel's 170,000 active duty soldiers, but that's not exactly an accurate way to think about it because Israel's soldiers need to be spread out over the entire country, for one, and they need to be relocated to the south now. Second, a higher ratio of Israel's forces are support and logistics, not combat arms, infantry, or frontline troops. Third, many of those soldiers would not be on duty right now. The main IDF military base in this region.
When we're comparing a lot of like troops, obviously the Hamas troops, there's not a whole lot of them that are just logistics or cooks or quartermasters, or they're mostly freedom fighters, right? Or whatever you want to call them. They're guys with AKs or fucking rockets. When you're talking about the whole of an organized army, you're going to have a lot of people that are support. There's actually a ratio of how many support you need per fighting soldier for an effective army. That's something that broke down for Russia. Russia didn't have enough, didn't have a long enough support tail to support their frontline fighters.
Is called Re'im, where the Gaza division was located, which was either captured by Hamas at one point or contested until about 8 p.m. local time when the IDF reported that they had recaptured it. So far, estimates place 200 Israeli KIA and over 1,600 wounded, and 5 soldiers as well as dozens of civilians are said to be captured by Hamas. Retaliation strikes from Israel reportedly killed 200 Palestinians and over 1,000 wounded as well. Although this is a developing situation, all of this information is subject to change. One of the ways we
A lot of times, a lot of them, it'll be like 10 to 1 or more support to frontline fighters.
Confirm the extent of the offensive is satellite imagery of fire caused by the fighting, as seen here. The furthest extent of the fighting seems to be the town of Afkim in Israel with a population of 34,000 people. It's reportedly under attack and hostages have been taken here. It's about 22 kilometers from the Gaza Strip. According to the IDF, they're fighting at 22 different locations across southern Israel right now. We see here that Israel's second biggest power station, Rutenberg, just outside Gaza, was struck. Another geotag clash shows an Israeli Merkava tank taking a direct hit from a drone, dropping a bomb straight on top of its weaker top armor. This is a tactic that has recently become commonplace on the battlefield in Ukraine. Israeli tanks are designed with more armor.
And don't think for a second that they haven't been watching the Ukraine versus Russia and getting ideas.
On the top turret than some other countries because they're specifically meant to operate in urban conditions, so it's unclear from the footage how much damage was done to the tank, if it was totaled or still salvageable. What we do know is that the engine is located in the front of the Merkava, unlike the Abrams, so the fire in this video could be the engine up in flames. This strategy of using drones was also used against a remote weapon system that shows how easily these drones can take out expensive remote-controlled turrets. The section of territory highlighted in red on the map shows us the extent to which Hamas units have pushed into Israel. These sections are currently...
I hate that the drones are commercial drones are being used this way, not military drones, but like drones commercially available, because I love flying my drones and fucking around with them and shit. And all this does is make the U.S. government more fucking suspicious of them to where we're going to lose the ability.
Currently being contested, and we can see its limit that they've reached about 22 kilometers at its furthest point, although I've been watching throughout the day, and I can tell you that the red sections
Israel's reported majority of villages recaptured by 8 p.m. Eastern local time. Or no, that's probably our time.
Have gotten smaller throughout the day. So we don't know where this is going yet. It appears like Israel is already pushing.
That's another thing you have to contend with. Dr. J says, I saw an ambulance hit by one as well. They're not just going after military targets, right? I think it's very telling. Like, a lot of people are like, there's some people that support like the Palestinians. There's some people that support like Israel. Israel allows not Hamas, obviously that's a terrorist organization. Israel allows Palestinians to live in their country, to work in their country, to be part of their country, to even serve in the government of their country. It isn't the other way around, okay? They just fucking stab you to death in Gaza for just being fucking Israeli or Jewish. But you have to contend with Hamas does not care what the target is, right? It's not just protect our military bases, protect our infrastructure, protect our strategic. They don't care. Dead people, right?
Pushing the militants back. It's important to keep in mind that Palestinians in Gaza are ruled by the group known as Hamas that's doing these attacks right now, and the Palestinians in the West Bank are under the rival party, Fatah. Fatah is in charge of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, or PLO, and they rule right now. Israel is already pushing the militants back. It's important to keep in mind that Palestinians in Gaza are ruled by the group known as Hamas that's doing these attacks right now, and the Palestinians in the West Bank are under the rival party, Fatah. Fatah is in charge of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, or PLO, and they rule.
So the West Bank is a completely different area than Gaza. Was it on that map I already showed? West Bank. This is the West Bank area, right? All the way up to Jerusalem. Now there's Palestinians there as well, but they're under a different organization, governmental organization. Like they're under a different control.
Well, the West Bank, they have renounced violence. I'm oversimplifying some of this, but
they don't do the violent stuff, right? They don't, or at least that's their outward contention they make. Like they're not out here stabbing each other, trying to kill each other. They just want to live peacefully.
Receives aid from the United States and the European Union. The U.S. sends about $500 million over the course of 3 years.
Jerusalem is like, it's like the holy city for a couple of different fucking religions. Everybody wants it.
And the EU has sent about $600 million per year to Palestine. The U.S. perspective here is that they have attempted to send aid money to Palestine while attempting to prevent that aid from being used to fund military endeavors. Palestine has a population of 4.9 million people, and Israel has a population of 9.3 million. But who is Hamas in the first place? They're a militant movement and one of the Palestinian territory's two major political parties. Hamas is known for governing 2 million Palestinians. It was in 1988 that Hamas first published what is their charter. The charter basically called for the destruction of Israel, and they originally wanted to establish an Islamic society inside.
So since literally their charter calls for the destruction of Israel as a country, like that's their goal, is to destroy Hamas's goal, the terrorist group. Now, we're not talking about everybody that's Palestinian. The terrorist group is their entire goal is to destroy all of Israel. There are Palestinians that live and work and get along with and don't condone violence, right? But there's also Hamas that they want to destroy the entire country.
What is known as historic Palestine. Since then, in 2017, Hamas has walked that back a little bit and created a new document that seemed to accept an interim Palestinian state along the quote-unquote green line border that was established before the Six-Day War.
They're Christian
For regular old
Palestinians.
dummies like me, it can be confusing to figure out where Palestine is because it includes the West Bank, which is territory between modern-day Israel and Jordan, as well as the Gaza Strip, which borders what's modern-day Israel and Egypt. These territorial lines have frequently changed over the past few decades, also making it more complicated. Sometimes, like in this case, a state, territory, or nation can be split into different parts that aren't connected to each other. When this happens, we say this territory is fragmented or discontinuous. Even talking about these kinds of seemingly non-controversial aspects can get you into hot water, though, because 138 out of 193 countries recognize Palestine as an actual country. The United States does not. Meanwhile, 165 out of 193 countries recognize Israel as a country. When a territory is split, it can lead to political disputes, and conflicts may arise from these geographical divisions. From Israel's perspective, they're fearful that they could face attacks from both the east in Gaza and west from the West Bank.
So, like, Hamas needs to go. Fucking nuke all those motherfuckers in Hamas. The problem is, like, a lot of people jump to all Palestinians, and then not all Palestinians feel that way.
There's a route or corridor that connects the West Bank to Gaza Strip, which Israel monitors to make sure weapons aren't being shipped between them. To get an idea of what type of Hamas units are participating in this attack, we see here it's the Al-Qassam Brigades from the Sakir Squadron. They're one of the units participating in what Hamas is calling Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, although I've also seen it called Al-Aqsa Storm elsewhere. Israel's calling their response their counteroffensive Operation Iron Sword. What happens is many of these smaller outposts
Iran's not a big fan of Israel either, but they don't want to get an all-out war with the U.S.
are getting hit, and now Israel will respond from larger bases that have been positioned further away from the front. The Israeli military did confirm that several towns are in Hamas's control as of October 7th. The United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd J. Austin made a statement about the attack, saying, quote, "Our commitment to Israel's right to defend itself remains unwavering, and I extend my condolences to the families of those who lost their lives in this abhorrent attack on civilians. Over the coming days, the Department of Defense will work to ensure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself and protect civilians from indiscriminate violence and terror."
Because people go to the all the way to the opposite. I think it's edgy to be like anti whatever America thinks. Like a lot of people are like that. You see this a lot in like the socialist fucking people. So they'll say, "Oh, free Palestine, like they deserve, their country, and fuck Israel. They're just doing this because Israel's so fucking mean to them and do this and do that." I don't know. I don't think that's true. I don't think that the Palestinian people should be run out of their homes and the land just confiscated. They don't have a place to be. They can have a place to be, but they can't be associated with like Hamas and other groups that are there for the destruction of the fucking country of Israel either.
Terrorism. A large portion of Israel's military technology and equipment comes from the United States.
Fuck Hamas.
There are U.S. troops stationed in Israel right now, and according to Brigadier General Pat Ryder, the Pentagon's top spokesman, these soldiers are safe and accounted for with no troop movements planned right now. According to this U.S. government document, the U.S. in 2022 upped their military aid to Israel from $2.6 billion per year in 1999 to today standing at about $3.8.
Who's in the right and who's in the wrong? Hamas is in the wrong for the attacks, for sure. Or even existing, Hamas is always in the wrong. Israel's made mistakes too, but they're allowed to defend their own sovereign territory. Their citizens shouldn't be targets either. But there's also Palestinians that haven't done anything wrong either. Hamas is in the wrong, I would say.
$8 billion in assistance. Part of this aid was designed to make Israel's defense more self-sufficient, stating, quote, "U.S. military aid also has helped Israel build its domestic defense industry, which now ranks as one of the top global arms exporters. Israel spends 4.3% of their $488 billion GDP on defense, or about $23 billion in 2022. Hamas, on the other hand, likely spends $1 billion annually and receives their funding from a various assortment of nations, including Iran. In fact, the U.S. State Department claims Iran provides $100 million to Hamas each year. Although U.S. sanctions against Iran after pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal might have limited this number more recently. Dozens of countries, including the United States.
The reason they're all fighting, actually it goes back all the way to biblical times, believe it or not. They all believe they have a right. They all believe they have a right to the land. They all believe they have a right to the country. They all believe it's their birthright. So Israel believes that it's their land. They own it, and so do all of these other religious extremists that are fighting Israel or trying to destroy Israel. They all believe they have a right to the land.
And the European Union have designated Hamas as an official terrorist organization. The U.S. added them to that list. And
the reason it's so complicated, and it's not just like, oh, can we give like the perfect straight answer? Like, these are the good guys, those are the bad guys, let's go. It's because it's been going on for so fucking long. And mistakes are made sometimes. Like, Israel's not completely innocent they've made mistakes too. They've done things like a lot of countries hate how they go into other countries and just fucking assassinate motherfuckers. That's pretty wild. You know what I mean? Like when you go into Iran and just start assassinating some of their scientists, but they would defend it by saying, well, Iran plans to build nuclear weapons to fucking wipe us off the map. It's way overly complicated, and it's been going on for so long.
1997. On the other hand, many other nations only apply that label of terror organization specifically to its military wing. Some people in the United
If you go all the way back to if you go all back to Abraham, one of Abraham's sons was Ishmael, and Ishmael is basically like the descendant that became all of the Middle Eastern Islamic people. And his brother was the one that became all of the 12 tribes of Israel. And basically they've been fighting over their birthright in these lands ever since.
United States are angry at President Biden for working out a prisoner exchange deal with Iran, where the United States...
it would be like saying, like, okay, the U.S. killed a citizen in Iraq, or like, okay, we had the prison where we were beating prisoners, pissing on them and shit like that. So now your son gets knifed in the street over that, right? It's not really your son's fault. Like, the U.S. made a mistake. Or Obama one time sent a drone strike on some bad intelligence and hit a wedding instead of the target he was looking for. Does that mean that I can be stabbed in the fucking street over that? I don't think so. I wasn't there. Didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't fucking drive the drone, order the drone, didn't do anything. But that would be the same contention.
Recently, about a week ago, unfroze $6 billion of funds for Iran, which critics claim could be used to fund Hamas. And what was Iran's response to the attacks in Israel on October 7th? Iran's leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, top military advisor, said Tehran supported the attacks by Hamas against Israel on Saturday and would continue to back the Islamist fighters, quote, until the liberation of Palestine and Jerusalem. And this starts to get us into the crux of the issue here and why this attack might have possibly occurred. The attack took place on a Jewish holiday 50 years in
Isaac and Ishmael, right? Ishmael was Isaac's half brother. So Ishmael is the start of all the children of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel. Ishmael is the ancestor of everybody else who think they have a birthright to it.
One day after the Egyptian and Syrian forces attacked Israel during the Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur, there is suspicion that Iran might have played a very direct role in helping to support and plan these attacks by Hamas against Israel. Why now? The suggested reason is that Iran is trying to prevent their main rival, Saudi Arabia, from normalizing ties with Israel. On the other hand, Palestinian news...
This could be why Iran may have put a bunch of training mission and maybe coordinated, maybe even said, okay, do it now. Saudi Arabia is working on normalizing relations with Israel currently. And if you don't know, Saudi Arabia and Iran are like always in this fucking shadow war over land and area. Saudi Arabia buys all of our military equipment because they're terrified Iran is going to invade them one time. There's been a bunch of issues. If you go back and study just all the issues between Saudi Arabia and Iran, it's amazing. And Saudi Arabia is thinking about normalizing relations with Israel. That means trade and everything. And Iran is obviously not a favor of that because they're enemies with Israel and with Saudi Arabia.
News outlets claim the attack is because 2023 has been the deadliest year for Palestine in over 2 decades, with 200 Palestinians being killed this year. So from Palestine's point of view, they're claiming that they say that this is because of atrocities committed by Israel. It could be a combination of several different factors. The United States would like to see Saudi Arabia and Israel sign some kind of agreement to normalize relations. According to the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, they're getting closer and closer to reaching a deal between Saudi Arabia and Israel. That alliance would have been very bad.
Saudi Arabia, there was a bunch of news media, like alt media and second level, like not like first level media, that was saying that Saudi Arabia come out and condemned the attacks and condemned Israel for the counterattack. That's not, if you actually read the statement, they just said that, you know, they were sorry for the loss of life and they think cooler heads should prevail, basically, like, hey, let's not escalate it. They weren't condemning anybody on either side.
News for Iran. Since 2020, there's been a group of different Arab countries, including and led by the United Arab Emirates, that have opened up diplomatic relations with Israel. This is a concept known as rapprochement that's important to understand here. Rapprochement basically means an establishment or resumption of harmonious relations between two countries. And it appeared like the Middle East was possibly heading towards resolving some long-held disputes. The Saudi Foreign Ministry put out an official statement and called for an immediate halt to the fighting, protection for civilians, and they also noted its previous warnings to Israel.
Which, if you believe in the Bible, I guess you kind of, I'm not a big Zionist, like just support Israel because it's Israel. Like they're our allies, we should support them as our allies, but stuff like not prosecuting their spies when we catch them and just ignoring the fact that they're doing this or that, I'm not a big fan of that. But if you believe in the Bible, it basically predicts that there'll never be peace there.
about the effects
Until
of
the
its
end.
ongoing occupation of Palestinian territory. That's what Saudi Arabia said. Here's footage of Iran's parliament yelling death to Israel, which might be why people believe Iran planned this attack.
So on October 7th, they were at their parliament was out screaming death to Israel and celebrating.
So these attacks by Hamas could be an attempt to prevent this alliance between Israel and Saudi Arabia from going through. What might happen from here on out is that Israel may launch wider attacks against Hamas in Gaza. I mean, if we look back at the 2008 conflict in Gaza, the war zone run by Tyler Rodgeway pointed out that at that time, Israel launched a 15-day-long ground assault into Gaza on January 3rd, 2009, and that attack resulted
They're all wearing hairnets. That's cool.
in 1,440 Palestinians being KIA and only 13 Israeli deaths. And according to a 2009 U.S. Congressional Research Service report, quote, Israel's technological superiority and reliance on heavy armor and firepower contributed to a wide disparity in casualties. So it's possible that we could see that happen again. It's also possible that Hezbollah could open up a second front in the north on Israel's northern border, or more attacks could come from the West Bank. If you want to stay in the loop and up to date on this issue, follow me at Happy Army on Instagram. I'll be publishing updates on there. This conflict is a tragedy that has been going on in different forms for many decades, and my final message to you is that I hope this war ends quickly with as little human suffering as possible.
Yeah, that's the worst part is the civilian casualties. So Israel's going to create civilian casualties just because how densely it's populated, and Hamas uses civilians for shields, right? They're going to use all those people they kidnapped either to make videos of them being beheaded or being blown up or being beaten, or they're going to use them as human shields. Not to mention, their strongholds are usually like in neighborhoods where a lot of the people there don't even know that that's one of the bases they're operating out of. So Israel just by attacking, they're gonna make innocent civilian casualties, and then Hamas is actually out here fucking gunning for innocent civilian casualties. So either way, it kind of sucks. For both sides, like there's just loss and suffering and broken families, and man, it's just gonna be bad kids. But there's not really a great resolution to it. You know what I mean? Like, Hamas has kind of been given their own area and they kind of control Gaza. That's not good enough for them, right? They want more. There's just not what's, I don't know. If you wipe Hamas off the fucking map, another fucking group will come in there and say that we're such and such. We displaced everything in Iraq, and look how fucking ISIL, whatever, occupied that power vacuum out of fucking Syria and took over the whole country of Iraq that I fought in for years. Took over the whole country of Iraq in like a week. I don't know. It's wild over there. It's a bad spot, but it is happening. Don't let anybody tell you it's not happening like Phil. That's the fucked up part. Phil's telling his followers that this isn't actually happening, that it's not happening in real time. It happened a while back. Israel versus Israel. AE versus EA. 1.5 versus 5.1, he says. He shares something from Amanda Q Decodes. It says 2/24/2022 was the day Russia invaded Ukraine. It was 4 days after 2/20/2022, which is the 51-year anniversary of the EBS on 2/20/1971. 2/20 was the 51st day of the year. 2/20 was the day Truth Social was supposed to go live, but it didn't, so that doesn't matter. 2/20 was the time the EAS was supposed to happen on 10/4. I don't think so. It happened later than that. 10/5, Dick Butkus died. Jersey number 51. Drop 51 is huge. So much to go over, guys. That's from Amanda Q. He then says, and Phil had a number 15 on his jersey. 15 is the opposite of 51. Oh, thank you. Amanda Q Discos then says, notice 2/20 connects with 2/20. 2/20 connects with 2/20, the 220 RT real time. 2/20 is the 51st day of the year. 5/1 EA is real versus Israel AEL. Then he shows then he shows like a picture of a dog looking like Lord Sidious saying good. And then he shares this picture. Why? It's a decode, guys. It's a decode. You just had to be there. He shares an emote with a smiley face and a squirt gun. There you go. Now you know. Fucking retard. He's going to say it's all codes. It's all put out there. It's all part of it. Who knows? Jesus Christ. Either way, that's basically what's going on. Don't let Phil tell you it's something else. It's actually going on. It should be acknowledged that it's happening, even if there's not really a way to stop it. I wish there was, to prevent civilian casualties, but it's happening. And anybody that says it isn't, it's kind of a piece of shit because, like he said, he's got his own fucking followers that live there, right, or that are around there that know their family's dying. Phil's just a piece of shit. Anything to make Phil feel like he has some type of secret intelligence or he's part of the plan or part of something. He's such a piece of shit. Anyways, guys, thank you for joining us. That's the show. Shout out to Jess for recommending me to her school. Shout out to Kat for getting El Jefe on #SameTeam. And shout out to Oliver's mom for, I don't know, always following her nose. Thank you, guys. I'll see everybody on the next one. Have a good night. Don't do anything Jess would do. Unless you have union representation. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. I'll be back tomorrow. Stay close. I gotta do some extra kick this week. I don't know when it'll be, but I need to do some extra kick over the next couple of weeks because I need at least 12 shows in a month, which basically means Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 weeks would work. But where I've missed some and dad stuff and like I missed last weekend because I wasn't feeling well, it kind of fucked me. So I need to do some extra ones. That way, next time I apply for partnership, I'll have an excess. So I'll let you know if we're doing kick things again, not on Friday, Saturdays. It's always Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but if we do an extra day, I'll let you guys know. Have a good night.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the forking balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. This the month, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. This the month, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit.
Where my true believer?
Y'all need Jesus.
Praise the Lord, head to the extreme.
All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like fool in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. This the month.
Yeah, you can do replays are on Kick. You just go to videos or whatever when I'm not live, and you can watch. I think they keep them storing for like a week or something, right?
This the month, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom.
Well, one of the mods dropped Linda Benda's link again, and make sure you guys go over there and give her a like or a comment or something. I greatly appreciate that.
Strapped to an F-16, high on amphetamine, with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on.
Yeah, you just click, go to my channel, and then you scroll down and click videos. And it looks like there's at least 4 of them there. All the way from 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it keeps them for 2 weeks. So typically there'll be like 5 or 6 there, usually. And I'll put the replay up on YouTube tomorrow.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Round 3. Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes. Trying
Have a good night, everybody. See you on the next one.
things are getting rocking. He was doing so well. It's all over. Hands on it.
Give me some feedback on the show if you got it. What do you like? What do you not like? You can email me or shoot me a message on Telegram or whatever. Let me know what you think about it. And I mean, it's doing well. It's growing. Like, I don't need to make any changes, but if there's changes that I can implement, I might. Thank you.
This time of the night. These parasites, these leeches, with all their secret meetings, teaching all you fucking cretins about baby eating heathens. Believing in reasons with no meaning is bullshit. Will Bird motherfuckers out here busting the grifts. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage.
Have a good one, guys. See ya.